we are going to have a very good meeting. So we have quite a bit to get to this evening. My name is Dr. Michael Burke, and I'm the first vice chairman of Community Board 12. And so we're having our third virtual meeting of this cycle. But you know what? That's the society that we're living in now with COVID-19, among other things, and some other things that we're going to talk about as well in regards to what's going on in our community. But this meeting is for you, and that's why we're here, because this meeting is for you. So we want to hear what you have to say. But before we begin, what I'm going to do is unmute everybody and ask that if you would allegiance. Allegiance.
America and to the republic which it stands, nation,
Nation.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody, for saying the Pledge of Allegiance with me. So before we begin, the first part of the meeting is normally in which we do community speaks. And so I'm going to put up the agenda. Most of us should have the agenda in front of us, but in the event that you don't, I'm still mastering these controls here. So hopefully you can see the agenda, and if you can't, then I'm going to make certain that I work this out. But the first thing that we normally do is we normally do community speaks. And so to that end, what is going to happen is we're going to have our speakers come up now, and then they're going to come and let us know what's going on in the community. And then from that point forward, then we will go on and take that information and either offer them some advice or listen to their concerns, and then we'll go forth from there. So the first speaker that we have up is Ms. Matos. Now, Ms. Matos is with the census, and I know that she's been here before, but she's got some pertinent information that she needs to get to us. So I would ask that Ms. Matos, I'm trying to see if I can find you here. If I see you. So if Ms. Matos, you are free to go. You are unmuted and you are free to go.
See me?
Yeah, that's you, Ms. Matos.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity on the last meeting of the before the summer ends to convey our message. We have few updates. We're starting our non-funds follow-up operations in August 11th. So if you have not answered the census by August 11th, someone is going to knock on your door every day until they, find you and ask you to please give the enumerator 5 minutes of your time to answer the census. Timeline, it's until October 31st. We extended the timeline to respond. So we have until that time. You can answer online by going to 2020census.gov, on the phone by calling 844-330-2020, or when you receive the questionnaire, by now everybody has it, fill it out and mail it back. Now, we wanted to let you know that every single enumerator is going to be properly identified. You're going to have an ID with the picture, the expiration date, and the logo of the census, a watermark from the census. And also the iPad that they're going to have, it's going to have an ID and a census, U.S. Census Bureau ID stamp. And they will be with the mask, gloves, all the gadgets, because we want to follow, as you know, the federal, state, and local health authorities guidelines and regulations. Also, an update for homeless, food pantries, soup kitchens, all that, from September 22nd until September 24th. In those 2 days, we're going to send enumerators. They're going to be overnight in the platforms. They're going to be everywhere in the city counting the homeless. So as you all know, the census is important because of the funding, now more than ever, because emergency responses, depend on the data that the census provides. It is important because of representation in Congress. We don't want to lose representation. And also because of redistricting, the lines, not only for electorals, but schools. I have the numbers. For the nation is 61.7, New York State 57.7, from the Bronx 54.1, and in the area of Wakefield, let's say 4101 White Plains Road, where you guys are, it's 39.60% only. So I encourage everyone, please, to call your local church. If you need any flyers, send me an email, maria.e.matos@2020census.gov. I will mail you flyers. You can take it to the supermarket, pharmacies, everywhere, to encourage everyone to answer the census. If you have any questions, once again, maria.e.matos@2020census.gov. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Matos. I have one question for you. So, why is it that you were stating that which area codes in particular in the Bronx that have not filled in the census yet? Why is it important that we get this done in a timely manner?
Well, first of all, because we don't want to be sending people out in the community more and more and more after August 11 for obvious reasons. We want to tackle every single neighborhood, but if you answer online or on the phone or by mail, it's the less people that we have to send out there. We want to protect the health of all the employees and also the community in general. But once again, timeline is until October 31st. The census is once every 10 years. That's it. We have one shot. We want to count everyone once, only once, and in the right place to shape our future for the next 10 years.
Will you be, do you need any people, so for instance, you've got not only board members, but you've got the community at large. Are you still hiring for members in order to help your team out to count everybody in the neighborhood?
Well, in the inside the system, we have a lot of people already. We've been calling, and actually this time we're already training people to become, enumerators, fingerprinting, background checks, etc. But we're still accepting applications. So you can go to the website and still apply. A lot of people, either they moved or they said, well, by now I don't want a job anymore. So don't get discouraged. Keep applying. And it's $28 per hour, and the training is paid.
Okay.
Oh, and also important, if you think that the extra income is going to affect if you have food stamps or Medicaid, no, it doesn't. The census is waiving that. So the extra income is not going to affect.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much, Ms. Matos. We appreciate it. I know that you have to run along, so we appreciate you coming on board and giving us this critical information in order to help this community get counted, and all of the resources that you stated that we need and that we want, that we can make that happen. So thank you again for your efforts.
Thank you.
Okay, so next on the list, I have I see Mr. Cruz. I want to say I saw him here, Mr. Cruz, and Mr. Cruz is from the CCRB. And Mr. Cruz, I know that I saw you earlier, and I'm looking for you, and I do not see you now. Are you still there? No. Okay. So, Mr. Cruz, we're going to come back to you. What I am going to do is I'm going to now go to Ms. McCullough. So Ms. Opal McCullough, I know that I saw you as well. Opal, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, how are you doing? So please tell us what is going on at Mind Builders.
Good evening, all. I hope you all and your families are well in this very difficult time. I wanted to definitely come by the last meeting of the year and share some happenings at Mind Builders. We, like everyone else, have made some huge changes and transitions. All of our classes have become virtual, online, in an online space. We've been very fortunate because about 85% of our community continued classes with us. And we are excited to announce that we will still be offering summer classes in all dance genres, all music lesson and instruction genres, and an exciting virtual program, teenagers. I'm going to cut and paste all of the information, the Mind Builders website, the actual brochure that outlines the summer class offerings. We do have free classes. There is tuition assistance, and in some situations, we do offer scholarships for families. So I encourage you all to pass the word, even amongst your own families, get involved. Let's sort of break the monotony and bring some movement to this otherwise crazy situation. So thank you for having me, and I'm going to put everything in the chat box now.
Okay, so thank you very, very much, Ms. McCullough, for your insight as to what is going on at Mind Builders. Now, let me ask this question of you. So, are the programs for children, or do you have any programs for adults during some months as well?
So the programs are for children ages 3 to adults. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right. Great. And so you're gonna put all the information set in the chat box, and then do you have a website that you can put in the chat box as well?
Yes. If you check your chat box, the website is there. The link for our summer brochure is there. And I've also posted a brief write-up about the free program for teenagers. As we all know, there's no SYP this summer. So we are offering young people an opportunity to participate in this free program. So send them our way.
Okay, you got it. All right. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
You got it. So next on the Community Speaks, I see Mr. Kodab is here. So Amir Kodab from the New York Public Library. So I know I just saw you here. Are you still there, Mr. Kodab?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, great. Welcome.
Thank you very much, and thank you everybody for having me. My name is Amr Klutp. I'm from the New York Public Library. I'm a manager on our Government Community Affairs team. And I just wanted to pop in today to share a quick update with you all. I know I don't have too much time, and so I do have a bit more than what I'm going to say tonight. And I've shared that information with leadership, and we'll be dropping my contact information in the chat. So what I want to focus on for these few minutes right now is that the library is going to be reopening soon, and we're very excited about that. We are planning to reopen on July 13th. And we are going to start with just 8 branches for now. And these branches are going to initially offer a grab and go service. And so what that means is a small area of each of these branches is going to be open for patrons to come and pick up and return materials that they've reserved from home. You can start placing your holds via an online catalog on Monday, July 6th, or you can call starting July 13th. Obviously, for the governor's executive order, special protocols are going to be in place. So everyone needs to be wearing face coverings. There needs to be 6 feet between everyone, and so forth. And that's just for the start. As things go well, hopefully, we will provide more services at branches and open more branches moving forward. And ultimately, our plan is to reopen all of our branches and to be back at full operation. Very quickly, I just want to name the branches that are going to be opening. So in Manhattan, that's Epiphany Library, George Bruce Library, Stavros Niarchos Foundation Library, formerly known as Mid-Manhattan. And then in the Bronx, we have Belmont, Francis Martin, Parkchester, Staten Island, we have Richmond Town, So those are the branches. The hours are going to be.
Wait. Okay. Okay. Wait, Mr. Coda. Wait. So, Mr. Coda, we have somebody coughing on you, and I apologize for that. If you don't mind unmuting yourself, here you go. So, I muted you, Mr. Coda, because as I said, someone was being rude to you and coughing while you were speaking. So, if you can go back and say what you were saying prior to that. So, you were saying the last thing I remember, libraries are open in the Bronx, and then if you could pick up from there, please.
Yeah, of course, no problem, man. Thank you for that. So, yes, I was going through the different boroughs that we operate in and listing the library. So, the Bronx, we have 3 branches that are going to be reopening, and that's Belmont, Francis Martin, and Parkchester. The hours at these branches is going to be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday will be 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Wednesday, 12 noon to 7, and 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Friday and Saturday. So that's really the short of the reopening update. Fines on items are going to be waived right now. Those people who signed up for digital cards while we were closed, they can use those digital cards to pick up materials. And like I said, our ultimate goal is to be back at full operation, full services. You know, we want to get back and start serving our communities in person, and we look forward to doing that. And I'll stop there and take any questions.
Okay, so normally during this time, we have questions that come from board members. So if any board members, and so for the community at large, normally what happens is we don't open the questions to the community at large. But the nice thing about using Cisco WebEx is that, Mr. Coda can answer your questions in the chat if you are from the community at large. So board members, do you have any questions for Mr. Coda in the New York Public Library?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure thing.
Just wanted to thank you so much for coming, sir. And I just wanted to know, how were the selection of the libraries that are going to reopen? How did that take place?
So, from what I understand, the process was based on a variety of factors. So, it had to do with the size of the branch, the proximity to public transportation, parking, the condition of the branch, the location. I'm thinking strategically about coverage too, and trying to pick places that would allow us to cover and reach the most people possible.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions from board members? So, Mr. Coda, I have a question. So you talked about size. What about, I guess I'm concerned about social distancing because normally, I know that in the summer times, there was something that I grew up on, and I'm sure most of us on this call can talk about with story hour. So with that being said, are you guys still doing story hour for the children?
So we are not doing that in person right now. However, since March, when we first closed, we have been doing a robust virtual storytime program that's been very well attended, and we sometimes have guest readers, elected officials, celebrities, librarians, and that's been a very robust program. And eventually, we will be doing that, but we are unfortunately nowhere near a time where that's safe right now.
Okay. Another question that someone from the community may ask is that, some libraries have, so in other words, you can, go and look for a job on Workforce One or something like that. Is that still possible to be able to do at the public library?
Yeah, so, and I apologize if I misunderstood your question. Please feel free to jump in and correct me. But as far as career services are concerned, we are still doing a lot in that area. We have a lot of career workshops. Folks can reserve a one-on-one with a counselor actually, and have a session where they can talk specifically about their skills, what they're looking for. We have resume workshops. We have LinkedIn workshops. All of this completely free, happening digitally. And I had some updates about that, and I sent them to the board before tonight's meeting. So I can drop that in the chat, or I don't know if you want to email it to everyone, but that is definitely something we've been focusing on.
So what? So here's a question that that's from the chat that I'm going to want you to take care of for me, Mr. Coleman. Is asking what methods are there to sanitize the books?
The methods, I believe, are, I think that it's really like, I think they're using like hand sanitizer, alcohol, sort of the same things that you would see in a lot of public places right now that have opened in phase 1 and phase 2 citywide. I know that, for example, one thing we're going to be doing is we're going to have enhanced cleaning protocols. We're going to have plexiglass barriers at all of our locations. All return materials will be quarantined for 72 hours. So these are a lot of the things that we're going to be doing and using, cleaning solutions regularly when interacting with patrons 6 feet apart.
Okay. So there are some other questions that are in the chat that, if you would please stick around and answer those. But I would like to thank you for coming on board. And as you know, you and I have been communicating. I see with Mercedes on the call and Ms. Claude is on the call as well. And so Mercedes, the vice chair of the Libraries Committee, you can see her, and Ms. Claude, I'm sure I know I saw her. She's the chair of that committee. So you may want to communicate with them as well. Okay.
Miss Claude, this is Joan Claude. I don't have any questions as of now, but I do have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm excited to see all the resources that you have for participants who use the library, the career building, or the resume help, the tutoring for the children, which is quite interesting.
Yes.
So I'm happy to see that the library has all these resources, and that's something that I will check out in the future. And hopefully that we will be able to work together cohesively.
Absolutely. I'm really glad to hear that. And that's something we've tried to focus on: distance learning and working with educators and parents and caregivers to provide as many free education resources as we can and career resources. So I'm really glad to hear that. And as you start to check out those links, please feel free to contact me directly if there's anything I can do to enhance the experience.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. So let's go on to our next guest in the community speaks. And so we have a bunch of students from Fordham University. And so I see, how do I say your last name? Shrestha? Am I saying that correctly? Is that correct? Shrestha, is that correct?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. So Mr. Shrestha is leading a team of Fordham University students on a pretty interesting project. And so they want to come before the community board to solicit our help. So Mr. Shrestha, this floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you inviting me here, as well as everybody taking time to listen to us speak, as well as hearing all these different great voices from the community. So I'll just give a little bit of an overview of what the collaboratory does. Essentially, where the Fordham Social Innovation Collaboratory is a part or an organization that does work with understanding like social equity, as well as doing research within the Bronx. So part of the project we're focused on is consumer behavior, specifically with Bronx natives. And then I brought two of my colleagues and friends on this project to kind of explain a bit more detail about our abstract and purpose, as well as what we've been kind of working on in terms of our survey and data collection. And then I'll kind of let Liv to start with that stuff, and then I'll chime in if they have missed anything.
Hi, I don't know if you can hear me well, but my name is Livia Johnson. I'm a junior at Fordham, and I'm working with Rich, and then Tim, who is also here from Fordham on this project. And I'd love to just do a brief overview of like what the project is about. So the purpose of this study is to examine the relationships between financial institutions and their consumers within the Bronx. Financial institutions meaning, all banking services, financial planning services, and alternative financial institutions such as check cashers and pawn shops. So according to the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection Office of Financial Employment, it's kind of one of the studies we're basing our research off of. The Bronx has the highest rates of underbanked and underbanked households in all the boroughs of New York City. And so they characterize underbanked as opposed to unbanked as households which had a checking or savings account and used one of the following products or services as an alternative financial services provider in the past 12 months, such as money orders, cash checking, international remittances, etc. So essentially, this study seeks to investigate the primary determinants of this economic pattern, including any relating to consumers' history of financial education, general attitudes towards financial institutions, and the current usage of financial institutions. And so basically our primary motive in our research is that we are hoping to gain a better understanding of the financial patterns within the Bronx and mostly provide an opportunity for those living in the Bronx to voice their concerns on financial justice and gain insight into potential economic policy changes that might provide the Bronx with greater financial stability. So sorry, I know that was kind of a lot, but obviously if there's any questions along the way, and then I think I will turn it over to Tim, our other colleague. Oh, I think he just got disconnected. So maybe Rich, you just want to talk briefly about how we're conducting our surveys?
Yeah. Go ahead. Fine, yeah. So essentially, we've been kind of spending a lot of time using our forum resources and our faculty, as well as students who have psychology sort of degrees, to make sure that we are using the proper research methods, including with informed consent and also randomizing our data and information, so that way whoever is taking our surveys or doing our interviews are going to be able to feel comfortable, because we're not going to be sharing that information. We'll be randomized. Also, Tim, are you back? You just said you're back.
Yes. If you can hear me, I'm back. I think I'm good.
We can hear you.
Awesome. Yeah. A economic research analyst with the team, and I wanted to talk a little bit about research. Rich sort of got into it. Unfortunately, I disconnected. Totally sure how much he got into. But basically, our team started with doing some academic research, build a background, a base of knowledge to do our own research. And then most of our data collection is through surveys and through interviews. So we'd be sending out the surveys via text or call. And same thing with interviews, we'd be doing phone calls or emails, which we can transcribe easily in order to reference the qualitative data. This information will be useful in grasping the financial habits that we're hoping to examine and their relationships with financial institutions in the Bronx. The data will then be used through data visualization software in Tableau and through SPSS statistics by both myself and then the psychology research strategy. Residents and community partners about how they feel about financial institutions, financial planning, will be used to examine consumer behavior all throughout the Bronx.
So let me ask, because there's a question that's in the chat that that I'm going to ask. So let me put my professor's hat on for a second. So I need you to make this simple, right? So because I'm looking at a lot of people that across my board, and they're like, what the hell are they talking about? So in a short term, you are looking for information from the community to do what?
Exactly. Yeah, let me clarify for that. So essentially what we have right now is we have surveys that have been analyzed by professors as well as like our psych students, and essentially collecting information onto about financial habits and financial patterns. And with that said, you know, you have the opportunity to express or elaborate as much as or as little as you want. It's up to you as the person, whoever is taking the survey. And from that, we are taking the information and making our own recommendations to a local CDFI, Community Development Financial Institution, Spring Bank. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but they're one of the we've been partnering with to essentially kind of give more recommendations for how we can boost economic stability.
Okay, so I get it. So you're soliciting information from the community so that you can find out what the financial patterns are, whether they're using a bank, whether they're using check cashing services, and you're probably going to want to find out why and what can you do to get them to use, I guess, more of a traditional bank, and that will be economically advantageous to the community by what?
Exactly. So Just additionally, with the opportunity with like a CDFI, Community Development Financial Institution, a spring bank, for example, has like no overdraft charges, and like a similar bank to that. So like it provides an opportunity or more of an accessibility. So with the information we're collecting, we're trying to understand like why maybe people don't, why people might be more interested, maybe in a spring bank than a traditional regular bank you might see like Chase Bank, right? As well as having lower interest rates for small business owners if they're interested in taking a loan. It might be a spring bank might be beneficial, but you just haven't heard of it as commonly as like one of these bigger banks that we've seen that are more corporate.
Okay. So and again, forgive me for putting my professor's hat on because I'm like, okay, and I understand how students can be, but you have to try to explain it so that because everybody may not understand the technical terms. So get to the heart of the matter. So with that being said, board members, so I see some questions that are in the chat that I would like one of the three of you to answer from the residents of the community. But board members, do you have any questions for our guests? Okay. Hearing none, seeing none, my question to you is, how do members of the community and or the board get in contact with you if they want to participate in your survey?
Right. So we've like created a whole PowerPoint because I know this like talking about this, it's just so much information and like just to like us like splitting it out at once, it's a lot. But yeah, so we have a PowerPoint that we can send the link in. I can enter it in the chat that explains everything, purpose, like who we are, all of our members, which is we're a small team, and basically the purpose of our research. And as well as the survey itself. It's pretty simple, like only like 10 or so questions. And again, as Rich mentioned, you can answer as little or as much as you want. And again, we do not, I see there's a question about how the data be managed and stored. So we are not sharing this data with anybody else. It is private and it is for our own purpose for this research and nothing else. And we're not taking any personal information, only name and email or things like that, if that answers that question. Rich, I don't know if you want to go into some detail.
Well, here's what I want to do, because I've got a couple of other speakers to get in. So what I would like for you guys to do, first of all, thank you for coming out, because as we received your notice, and anytime that we can help students, especially students that are studying here in the Bronx, we really appreciate that. So what I invite you to do is put all of your contact information in the chat, a link to the PowerPoint, your personal emails of any of the members of the community, as well as the board would like to get in contact with you. So the fact that we can actually do our part to help you guys in your studies. And what I would like to ask is that when you're done with your studies, if you could present the information to the community board, because I think that would be advantageous for us here as well, to especially with our economic development efforts that we have going on. So if you can come back with that when you guys are done with your studies, we'd appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Yeah,
Great.
really appreciate you giving us this platform and stuff to share our research.
Not a problem. You are very, very welcome. So the next speaker up is somebody who I'm actually excited to have, and that's Mr. Corey Williams. So as many of you on the board know, before I ascended to this role as first vice chair, I was on the Parks Committee serving with Ivan Boris. And one of the things that we were talking about was the RC Park, or the radio controlled park, that is on the other side of Gun Hill Road. And so I saw Mr. Williams one day, and it was absolutely fascinating. And so he's here to talk about that. And I know that I saw him here earlier. Mr. Williams, are you still here? Okay.
I'm here. Are you able to hear me?
Okay, we can hear you, Mr. Williams. We can hear you.
Excellent. I really appreciate this opportunity. I'm just so excited to be able to speak on behalf of the RC community as it relates to.
We can't see Mr. Williams, but we can hear you.
Can't see me, but you can hear me. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
I'll just go into it.
Okay, continue on.
Yeah, so Gun Hill Park, also known as Fort Knox RC Track, has been a gem in the New York City RC community for over 40 years. It sits in a perfect location for access by racers from all all of the 5 boroughs as well as the surrounding states. In 2011, it was home to the New York City Off-Road Championships. At that race, there were over 120 entries from five states. So that's really a really big race. You know, the race was covered by local media and supported by all the local hobby shops. That race was a culmination of time and effort of the renovation crew at that time. Over the years, many of them have moved on or life has taken over and they can no longer participate in their beloved hobby. It's time for renewed energy to be infused to the track and bring it back to its former glory. While large-scale races are not being held, local guys and gals are using the track to hone their skills and connect with their children and friends on common ground. I myself have used the Fort Knox Park as a frequent after-school stop for my son and I when he attended the Learning Tree Cultural Preparatory Academy on Bartoli a few blocks away. As society struggles to find ways to connect generations and communities, we would be doing a terrible disservice to the Bronx to eliminate a common ground for folks from all neighborhoods to build relationships and understanding. The RC community is willing to invest the sweat equity to get the job done, but need the support of the Community Board and Parks Department to restore the gem that is Fort Knox RC Park. Once again, I thank you for your time, allowing me to speak on this community board meeting and let you know that we do exist and that, you know, that park is being used.
Okay. So thank you very much. Ivan, I know that you were on here. Would you like to comment on that right quick? Okay. Um, so, Mr. Williams, Ivan Boris is our parks chair, and he kicked off or not. But in any event, no, I see where he's still on. Ivan, do you want to comment right quick, please?
So I just want to say that the board knows, the rest of the community knows that I hold the RC Park, the Fort Knox RC Park, near and dear to my heart. I've been advocating for it for the past 2 years, so that it wasn't, so that this way it wasn't dismantled. As of right now, and I'm glad to see that Corey, I'm correct, right?
Yes. Yep.
I'm glad to see Corey, finally came forth because I have heard about you in the community, but just haven't put a face with the anyway. So as of right now, the RC Park is supposed to be dismantled. So I mean, I will try to reach out to Parks Manager Matt Doron to see what can be done, and I will also reach out to the Parks Commissioner, Ms. Rodriguez, to see what else can also be done. But as of right now, it's supposed to be dismantled in the summer.
Wow. Okay.
So tell you what, let me what I'm going to do, Mr. Williams. I'm going to put you in contact with Mr. Boris because I'm going to change the format a little bit because I have the senator that needs to get in and get out. So I'm going to put you in contact with Mr. Boris. If you guys can exchange your information in the chat, I would appreciate that. So what I'm going to do right now is, since I'm hearing some background noise, I'm muting everybody, and I'm going to change the format just a bit. So I haven't forgotten about you. I know that we have about 1 or 2 more speakers in community chat. Community speaks. But Senator Biaggi herself is here with us. So, Senator, how are you doing today?
Hello there. Can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine. How are you doing, Senator Biaggi? You doing all right?
I'm doing all right. I'm trying to. WebEx is like every time I do this, I just did this with CEC8. I always have a problem with my video, so I apologize for that. But nevertheless, thank you for giving me a moment to speak. I am excited to come to all of you this evening. And I was just listening to all the presentations, and also have to say that if those young, amazing people are still on, I give you a lot of credit for participating in the community board and showing up in the community and sharing about the projects that you're working on and the things that you care about. I think it's a pretty powerful way to make progress, and I just want to acknowledge them for that. I really, I don't have that much to share this evening. I'm really here to just listen to everyone, but mainly I just want to say that I know that we are still in the throes of COVID-19. My office has been working remotely for the past now almost 9 weeks. we will continue to do so. We are here for anybody who needs our help. We have been providing assistance, including food distributions, of course, unemployment insurance, making sure that we are available for any and all issues that come up. There have been many of them. We have seen probably about a 300 to 400% increase in constituent services cases. But most importantly, I think the thing that I want everyone to know is that we are not going anywhere. We are here practically 7 days a week. And Marianne, who joins me this evening, who you are, I'm sure that you know quite well, Marianne Joyce, is also joining me today and has been, I think, really just doing an excellent job on not only constituent services cases, but just making sure that a lot of the needs are met. In addition to that, I just want to share two separate events that we're doing. One is tomorrow with Girl Vow. It'll be an event on the impact of state violence on Black and people of color. It will be through a webinar event, and the information will be dropped into the chat if anybody's interested. And then another event that I'm doing on Saturday is about youth suicide awareness. This is youth suicide awareness. This is Suicide Awareness Month. And so what we're trying to do is bring awareness to this issue. And in order to do that in solidarity, and please, anybody who wants to join, do so. I will be jumping rope because we're trying to break the jump roping record across, I believe it's the state, but if it's across the country, my God, that is amazing. But I will be jumping rope for a certain amount of time that I've been designated so that we can break the world record in awareness of that. So we will put that information in the chat as well. But really, I want everyone to just know that we are here to help in any way we possibly can. If there is a food insecure family or part of the community that you've identified that needs food or that needs help in any way, please let us know, because we have been able to distribute over 20,000 meals during this crisis, and we'll continue to do so wherever, even outside of the district. It doesn't matter. Wherever there is need in the borough of the Bronx, we want to make sure that we are there to serve. So thank you for giving me a moment to speak. I'm here. I will be here all evening, and I will be on mute and here to help in any way possible.
Well, first of all, thank you, Senator Biaggi, and congratulations on your election this past Tuesday.
Thank you so much. I don't know if it was
Just
appropriate to say thank you, but thank you.
well, I mean, like I said, I think that we're, speaking on behalf of the community board, I mean, we're community partners. So I think in conjunction with you, what we try to do is we try to serve the constituents. And so therefore our mission is congruent. And so with that being said, yes, it's very appropriate to congratulate you. Again, we didn't endorse one candidate or the other, but being the fact that you won, we still want to be able to say congratulations. And, we look forward to working with you.
Thank you. I look forward to working with you as well. And as I said, we're here in any way possible. When people come into the office or send an email or send a text or make a phone call, nobody is turned away. And so that is a consistent policy that I have. And especially in the moment that we're in, which is an unprecedented moment, and the need is so great. If there is need for food or otherwise, please let us know, because we will make sure that we do everything we can to meet the need.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Senator. And so your colleague, Assemblyman Denowitz, is also here. So I see him in the background as well. So Assemblyman Denowitz, how are you doing today?
I hope everything is well with you.
We're fantastic.
If it's noisy, it's because I'm sitting outdoors at the moment. It's turned out to be a nice evening, but I really appreciate your giving me a minute or two to speak. And I just wanted to let the board know a few things that are going on. We're likely going back to Albany, and I'll put that in quotes, next week. We're going back into session, hopefully next week, to help the city resolve some of its fiscal problems. As you know, the city and the state are facing enormous deficits, and that could end up causing huge cutbacks into all important areas, whether it's education, police, social services, something we're all very concerned about. We want to try to find ways to resolve it. So we're hopefully going to go back into session before the end of the New York City fiscal year, which is next Tuesday. And hopefully we'll accomplish something. You will, of course, hear about it. I know our councilman, Andy Cohen, is working very hard to on the city budget right now, and we're really fighting to maintain the services that our communities need. And of course, we're all in, we're in desperate shape economically right now because of the impact of the virus and the economic collapse that's followed. But we're hard at work dealing with it. A week or two ago, we were in a legislative session and we passed a whole package of police reform bills, which we hope will address some of the tremendous concerns that have been raised in the past few weeks. And they are obviously major concerns. I think the country as a whole has seen that that if we don't take action to deal with the issues of justice and equality, that will just have a devastating effect on our country. And I think things are changing. And I think one small step in that process was some of the bills that we passed in the legislature. The city council also passed a package of bills that I know our council members worked so hard on. But we have a lot of work to do. I think we all know that. And I, for one, intend to be a big part of that. And I thank people in the community who've really put in the time and the effort, no matter what your opinion is of the police. I think we can all agree that we want to make sure our communities are safe, that crime is low, but we also want to make sure that our police departments behave in the way that they should. In addition, we just passed the election. I'm glad that's behind us instead of in front of us. So now we can focus on other elections coming up in November. But in the meanwhile, we have a long summer ahead of us. We just have so many challenges. But I just want to say thank you to the members of this board and of the community, because your work and your input not only allows us to do our job, but you really make a big difference in our community. So thank you to everybody on Community Board 12.
Well, on behalf of the community board, we say thank you as well, and congratulations to you as well, Assemblyman, because as I stated to the senator, we are community partners, and so again, we can't do our jobs, and of course, we need to help you do your jobs. And so, as you said, we are partners. So again, congratulations to you, and most of the members of this board are very dedicated public servants, and we want to do what's right by this community. And so in the conversations that I've had with several board members, like I said, each one of us want to do what we need to do to be able to help you and the senator and the councilman do their job. So again, thank you for your work as well.
Okay, thank you to all the board members, to George, and to everybody on the staff. You're incredible. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What I would like to do is get back to Community Speaks, and I know that there is one member. There is Miss Marshall, or Mrs. Marshall, I should say. Mrs. Marshall from Bike New York is here. So, Mrs. Marshall, I saw you earlier. If you could please come to the front here and tell us about the organization.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay, awesome. Is the video going?
Oh,
okay. Wait a minute.
Yes, I do not see you, but
Okay, all right, great. First of all, thank you so much, and I appreciate your patience with my technical abilities here. I'm with Bike New York. My name is Sharon Pope Marshall. And I'm here to tell you about several exciting initiatives that we have at Bike New York. The first, which is actually new as in the last 24 hours, is regarding our Street Action Now initiative. And essentially, what we're going to be doing is we're casting a wide net across the city, and we're asking people to step out of their apartments and walk down the street and tell us what they see. And what we'll do is we'll work with everyone to mentor them through the process of reporting street conditions, not only to the Department of Transportation, but also to your Transportation Committee of the community board, of all of the city's community boards. I'm really excited about this. I'm a community board member myself, a long-term board member, as a matter of fact. And I'm so happy that through Bike New York, we're going to be able to recruit individuals throughout the city. We'll have webinars, we'll have videos, we'll do one-on-one, and we'll work with them to improve their street right within their own community. So that's the first one, and it's called Street Action Now. The second is that we have done a twist and pivot like none other. In 2019, we taught 25,000 people how to ride bikes and how to do so safely. However, we're not going to do that in 2020. We actually would provide the bikes, the helmets, and the like. However, what we've done is we've put all of our materials on our website. So we have virtual classes.
So, Ms. Marshall, can I ask you this question? Because I need to move on. Can you do me a favor? Can you put your website in the chat? Because I think
I
I
already
see.
did.
Okay, you already did? Okay, great. Because I see Mr. Hall smiling and regarding bikes. And like I said, I like to ride my bike as well. So if you did, and I think someone was asking about, are these chat transcripts available? Then, the answer is yes. And so, we do have a, secretary who's responsible for that. So all of these minutes are available to you. So with that being said,
Please go to,
yes.
please go to our website, bike.nyc, www.bikenyc. My email address is S as in Sharon, Pope, P-O-P-E, at bike.nyc. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate you giving me the time.
Not a problem. You've got it. You've got it. So last speaker that I know Mrs. Johnson is on. Ms. Pamela Hamilton Johnson is on, and I know that she's president of our 4/7 Community Precinct Council. So Mrs. Johnson, if you would please come in and say a word or two.
Hi, everyone. Like Dr. Burke said, I'm Pamela Hamilton Johnson. I'm actually driving, so I'll have to pull over. But I wanted to say that on 222nd Street and Bronx Boulevard, there is, it's the end of the road where you have to make a right turn. You can't go any further. And there's like a cinder block wall that's there. And what's happening is that the homeless are using it as they're keeping their stuff there, they're spending the night there. I don't know if they're not getting into the shelter in time, but they're there at night, they're cursing. I can hear them early in the morning. So I have a recommendation, is maybe those benches that are behind that brick wall probably needs to be removed, or even the committee in the Parks Department could just take a look at it and to see what they could do about it. I'm in my car, so I'm just gonna just leave it at that.
Okay, well, you got it, Pam. Like I said, so Ivan Boris is on here, and so like I said, I'm sure that, and like I said, you and I could chit chat as well. So we will between himself, myself, and Mrs. Bond, who is his vice chair, we can take a look at it and get that taken care of for you. Okay. All right. So we are moving on to the next part, so which of course is our elected officials, and we have actually one more elected official that wants to say something. So we have, am I saying her name right? Is that Danielowski from Councilman Cohen's office? So Ms. Danielowski, if you would come on in and give us greetings in behalf of the councilman.
Yes, hi. Yes, Danielowski is right. So hi, my name is Julia. I'm a community liaison at Councilmember Andrew Cohen's office. And I just wanted to say hi and introduce myself, and as well as put my email in the chat log. So if anybody has any issues with anything in the community they want to address or any concerns, that feel free to email me and I can help you out as best as we can. And as well, we're still putting out a newsletter with lots of information in regards to things opening up, like the New York Public Libraries and things like that, which is available to be signed up for. I can do that for you, and there's links on our Facebook page as well. And I hope that everybody got out to vote on Tuesday and that everyone has been safe and healthy throughout the last few months.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Danielowski, on behalf of the councilman. Are there any other elected officials? Mr. Martinez, is he here? And I know Ms. Taveras from DA from the DA's office is here as well. Marilex is here, representing the DA. So, do either one of you have anything that you would like to say?
Good evening, everyone. This is Marilex Santana Tavares from the Bronx District Attorney's Office. I'm just here just listening to any community concerns. I put my information in the chat. If anyone has any questions or concerns relating our office, just you can ask me questions now or put it in the chat and I'll answer them.
I think the one thing, Ms. Taveras, about the chat that is so fantastic is, of course, is that you can normally, the way that if we were actually meeting in person, really only board members could ask you questions. But the virtual platform is that I'm looking at the chat now and you see questions coming in from the community. So I think that, you were right to solicit questions from the community. Is there anything that's going on at the DA's office? Any programming that is ongoing, or has that been suspended due to COVID?
Well, everything right now, all of our youth program has been suspended due to COVID. We're trying to transition into going back into the office. But as of right now, everything is remotely. Our office is working remotely and all of our programs are on pause right now. But we're looking into opening up those programs in October, but that's still not set in stone yet.
Okay. So thank you so much, Mr. Barris. And again, if you have any questions for her, please again address them in the chat, and we really and truly appreciate that. Are there any other elected officials? I didn't see Victor Martinez from Scott Stringer's office. Is anybody from any other elected officials?
Good evening. This is Sue with the mayor's office.
Okay.
Don't worry. Let me put away a phone because I'm in a different call simultaneously. Good evening, everyone. My name is Suri Miranda. I'm with the mayor's office. One of the things that I wanted to inform everyone is that we have reached a point where we have enough face masks for distribution. So probably you're going to start seeing a lot of overlapping with different agencies reaching out to businesses, community organizations. If any one in the district wants face masks for distributions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll share my contact information in the chat so you can all have access to it. We're going to start reopening, and as many of you may have heard, we are looking towards opening or reaching phase 3 of reopening in early July. So please stay tuned to see if that is still the case. With that, there will be a lot of parks that will reopen, dog runs, etc. And that is something that I'll make sure the community board is informed. The last thing is, and I know that you had a wonderful presentation last time, so it may not be of the interest of the board, but right now we're identifying groups that are interested in receiving the test and trace presentation, specifically to better understand how is the city test and tracing to make sure that we keep any possibility of a spread. I'm very much aware that this district, specifically the communities up in the East Bronx, have been one of the most affected. So we want to make sure that there's no possibility of spread. So please reach out to me if you have any questions.
Ms. Miranda, let me ask a question on behalf of the board and the community as large, because, the one thing that our community associate, Ms. Ursula Green, who does an excellent job in getting information out to this community. She sent a note from one of your partner agencies in which they were looking for contact tracers, and in particular, contact tracers from this community, 10467, 10469, since our zip code has been so adversely affected by COVID-19. However, the agency that you use or that the city is using really has not been that effective. So I would like to maybe chit chat with you about that offline. So I'm going to let's make certain that if you put your information in the chat, I will hopefully capture it. But again, if you can get my information from either Ms. Ursula Green or Mr. George Torres, and we can go forward, because I think that that's a disservice to members of this community who actually want to help, and to have an agency that the city has contracted with, that your office has contracted with, that quite frankly is doing an abysmal job of recruiting members of this community. And so I want to bring that on behalf of the board and on behalf of this community. So if we can talk about that so that we can get more members of this community to be able to assist you in your efforts to mitigate this virus further.
Indeed, and that is something that if you feel comfortable, we can also make it part of the meeting with the test and trace team, because that is a question that we're still that we're trying to make sure that we inform the communities about how has been the hiring of the test and trace corps.
Yes, I mean, I think that again, and the way obviously that's been contracted out, but yes, let's make sure. So if you is your information, if it's not in the chat, if you could put it in there so that we can capture it. And as I said, I'm going to ask you to contact our district manager, Mr. Torres, and get my information. And so that way, because I would like to follow up with you myself on behalf of the board and the community at large.
Can you let me answer a question that I see in the chat
Certainly.
box? So specifically, one of the things that we want to make sure is that we inform people about the way in which we're gathering data and what that data that is gathered, what that represents. So we're going to have a meeting specifically for community boards on Monday. I have shared with all community boards, and I have asked specifically the district managers to share it with the members. So if you want to be part of that meeting, that is Monday at 3 p.m. So we'll have folks from the Taste and Trace team, and we'll also have folks from the OHMH to go over the numbers and what is the logic behind the numbers.
Okay. All right, you got it. All right, thank you so much. George, do we have any other elected officials here? I think that is
Hi,
it,
Dr.
correct?
Burke. It's
Yes.
Alexis from the Bronx Borough
Oh,
President's
Alexis,
Office.
yes.
How are
Well,
you?
yes, you are next. You are right on time, because I was getting ready to call you, but you beat me to the punch. So how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm
How's your
doing
family?
fantastic. We're doing fantastic. You know, I saw the borough president on Friday, but I know that you're gonna give the board and the community some information coming out of his office.
Yes. So, hi, I hope everyone is staying safe and doing well during this time. I want to thank all of the board members that are here today and thank you for all that you do. The latest report from the Borough President's Office was shared via email to everyone. For anyone who hasn't received it, please put your email in the chat box and then I can just forward that to you. The Borough President has launched a virtual memorial for our beloved Bronxites that we lost due to COVID-19. And you can find the memorial video and submission page in the links that I'm going to post in the chat. You can share with your networks, and for people that want to submit names of other folks that they know or family that they've lost due to COVID-19, they can submit that there as well. As far as reappointment letters are go, they're going out. For anyone who hasn't received it, they are going out in the mail. Don't worry about it. If it gets too long, you can feel free to call me or email me, and then I can send that out to you again. And then formal letters will be going out once we return back to the office, which we don't officially have a date yet.
Okay. So I guess when you get a date, you're going to let everybody know. Is that right, Ms. Ruiz?
Yes, of course.
Okay. All right. So
I'm going to put my
yeah.
information in the chat box for everyone.
Would you say? I'm sorry?
I said I'm going to put my information in the chat box for everyone along with the links.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. So again, thank you. Thank you again for everything that you've done for us on behalf of the the borough president and being a fantastic liaison for us. And so we appreciate you, Alexis. Okay. So next, of course, is the vice chairperson's report or chairperson's report, or I guess whatever role that I'm serving right now. But I'm going to give my report, so I'm going to try to make certain that I do this effectively. So let's make certain. Let's see if I'm doing this properly. When I hit share, please let me know if you see this come up on your screen. So in other words, I'm trying to share the report. So and I'm looking at it on TV and seeing if anybody can see it as well. So can everybody see my report? No? Okay. That means I'm not doing it correctly. So I'm going to try this one more time. And if this does not work, then I will just read it verbally. Okay. Can everybody see it now? Can you see it now?
Not yet. It's still uploading.
It's uploading? Okay. Okay. Is it visible now, George?
It's slowly coming on my screen.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started, and hopefully it'll come on. And then if it doesn't, as I said, because I don't want to take up too much more time. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the because it says slow loading, is the Library and Cultural Affairs Education Committee meeting series that we had. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because I'm going to have Ms. Claude talk about that. But you know, last month we mentioned a video and making a video, and so I can say that that video has been done. And as I said before, I'm going to so it didn't open, so I must not be doing something right because I think someone said that they cannot see it. So I'm just going to read it and just to keep it moving. And like I said, I think everybody on the board has a copy of it anyway. So I'm just going to go ahead and read it. I don't know why it's not loading in right now. It's not even letting me read it, which is even more frustrating. So let me see what's going on here. Again, right now I am I do not know why I cannot read it to you, and it says that everybody's telling me that everything is frozen, so I do not know what's going on. To make a long story short, yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and this is somewhat embarrassing. So here we go. So the next thing, of course, was the precinct community council meeting. And you know, took place on June 10th, and of course, you heard from Mrs. Johnson, in which you know, she chairs that wonderful body. But one of the main topics of discussion was increased police presence at the homeless shelter that has come about at 4747 Bronx Boulevard. And in fact, there's been a meeting about that fairly recently. And so again, our district manager may or may not make mention of that, but as I said before, that is something that is ongoing. So to address those concerns, so for those individuals that were at Mrs. Johnson's meeting 2 weeks ago and want to know, the 47 is on that. The third part, of course, is that I'm just re-releasing the press release that the community board put out, and I'm just making it known again. And this again was a joint press release by, you know, Congressman Engel, Assemblyman Denowitz, Senator Bailey, and Councilman Cohen, as well as us, in that even though this statement was released in May, it's important that this statement is re-released to the public. And again, as stated before, this is due to the concerns that several community members have brought to my attention, to George's attention, as well as Mrs. Johnson's attention. So just to let you know that it is being dealt with. And so, you know, we're going to talk about that a little bit this evening. In regards to public relations, as far as our disgust and outrage is concerned, Mr. Jason Cohen actually had an article that's dated June 1st on Bronx Times. So I invite you to go to the Bronx Times and actually look at that article in which he talks about what happened at our May community board meeting as well. So I invite you to do that. One thing that, as I said it before, if there's anything that may or may not be good out of this pandemic, this horrendous pandemic that has taken almost 130,000 American lives, is that unfortunately, the city budget has dried up. And I say it's unfortunate for many people who work for the city, but it is fortunate in that a lot of money, in particular that HPD would use, is not as readily available as it normally would be. So the community board received a notice on May the 6th that the Center for Family Support actually want to set up a group home in our community board. And so, being the active person that I am, I want to haul them before you, the body, to find out what was going on and why they chose this particular location. But I had a conversation with them about a week or two, actually, about I want to say last week Friday, and they have withdrawn the project. So I spoke with I forgot the person's name, but they're no longer bringing that project into our neighborhood due to lack of resources. Last but not least, in my report is a Juneteenth celebration. I think, in the last few weeks, a day of reckoning has happened in this country with unjustified deaths of Rashard Brooks, who, of course, is, from my home state of Georgia, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and another Georgian, Ahmaud Arbery, in the first part of 2020. And this was this is, quite frankly, it's very disturbing. So this is not including to the other deaths such as Eric Garner and Marmali Graham right here in our own community board. So Speaker Hasty held the Juneteenth celebration in which we celebrated Juneteenth, but we also talked about those issues as well. And so a lot of our elected officials were there. One of the things that came out of that for the community board was that, of course, we saw several community board members there. Of course, our district manager was there, as well as Ursula. And a lot of the fraternities and sororities were there. So, as you can see, I'm wearing my fraternity shirt. I'm proudly representing Omega Psi Phi, but the AKAs were there, as well as the Zetas, as well as the Deltas. And one of the things that we discussed there was actually potentially combining resources. And so I think that was a very good thing. So, in other words, they want to work with us in making the community a better place. And so that's something that I think that, we'll look into in the coming months and then, go from there. And that ends my report. Next up, of course, is our district manager, the wonderful Mr. George Torres. So he is going to give you his report, and then we will keep on moving forward.
So good evening, everyone. I just wanted to say hello. I will be very, very brief because it is a beautiful evening, and I want to get out of here right away, being the last meeting and all. I just have two things to say. One, it's a congratulatory thank you to everyone that's participating. At our last full board meeting, we had 76 participants. Tonight we have, I think, 58 participants, and I'm being told by Ursula that we actually may have 24 board members on. And as a result of that, we actually may have a quorum for this evening. So this is great, and we have to do a resolution for our election. So I hope that gets done. So any board members that are on now, please do not leave. You have to stay and take a vote. But I just, again, want to thank you all for rising to the challenge. I think this is unprecedented what we're going through right now. We've had to move to an all video format, and all of you are participating. It's been a little slow going, but I think you've all risen to the challenge. Not everybody has. Let's be fair. Not everybody is, participated in this, but I do want to say thank you for being patient with us as a community board, but also participating and doing this all online. I think this is going to be what happens for the foreseeable future, at least until phase 4, I am told, for the city, to when we can actually maybe start meeting in person. but thank you for this. The second thing that I wanted to raise, I just picked this up today. This is the Community Board 12 Handbook. Last month, or at last month's meeting, I said that Carla had given us the idea. Carla deferred to Carmen Ortiz. So Carmen Ortiz deserves all the credit for making us put this all together. Basically, this is a useful guide for board members, including Community Board 12 bylaws, the EEO and sexual harassment policies, and a number of other useful documents. All of this information is already readily available, other than our bylaws, on the Borough President's website. We've just taken it and put it into a very thick booklet. We had 100, I picked up 100 copies of it today. It's sitting in our office. If board members, we're going to try and figure out a way to get it to all of you board members. In addition to that handbook, we also have the city planning little, I think it's orange or red. It's orange, I think, book. And it's chock full of city planning information, which would help anybody with, if they had any questions about what an R4 district look like as opposed to an R7 district. So again, this is just, we're trying to give you all the information that's necessary to make you better board members and more active members in the community. And that's basically it. And I always end by stating today is my 1,788th day, or 4 years, 10 months, and 22nd day at the community board. I've appreciated all of it, and I love all of you. So thank you very much for letting me do what I do.
Thank you so much, Mr. Torres, for being, as you know that you and I have a very very good working relationship, and I do appreciate that. And I think in thanking Ms. Borsati as well as Ms. Ortiz for their ideas, because that's one thing that we talked about, it being for newer board members. But as I said back in February, everybody could probably use this. And the one thing that I guess I like to always try to do is let people know how much I appreciate them, especially when they come with good ideas, because one person can't do it. Just like one finger is easy to be broken, but as a fist, you're unstoppable. And so I think that as a board overall, we're unstoppable. So when everybody comes with their ideas, then that just makes us one unstoppable force. And so I just want to say thank you to Ms. Ortiz, Ms. Borsati, and everybody George Urson, everybody who participated in making that a reality. So with that being said, we are now moving right along. And so we're going to skip committee recommendations for now, but we're going to touch on something in a little bit. We're going to skip the board minutes, and we've done with our presentation. So we're going to go to old business. And so for those of you that have the agenda in front of you, since I really have not figured out how to display it properly, is just an update on the 501c3 inquiry. So as many of you know, I've been somewhat screaming for a 501c3 for quite some time. And the reason that I've been doing that is because I think that that is a good mechanism for us to be able to use to stop a lot of things that are happening in our neighborhood, as well as to promote some things that we want to occur in our neighborhood. And so, we've been talking about that for quite some time. And so again, that was supposed to be implemented. And so we had a budget committee that we had voted on in February, and that committee unfortunately has expired. Now, what has wound up happening is, since we do have a quorum, there's a couple of votes that we need to take tonight anyway, which is great. But the person who was supposed to be handling that information and getting to us, quite frankly, and I would imagine it's due to the pandemic, but we haven't heard from him. And so one of the things that, I told you board members is that you will always be able to hold me accountable. And I try my best to do what I said that I'm going to do. And so to that end, I said I was going to get more aggressive. And if people weren't doing what they needed to do, then we would find somebody who would. So the person who was handling that is now no longer handling that. But I spoke with somebody who I'm very confident in, who will be handling it from this point forward. And so that is going to be Ms. Ajeria Bennett. And so Ms. Bennett is one of our longtime board members, but Ms. Bennett has a wealth of experience when it comes to 501c3s and how to make that work. And so, in other words, we're not going to be held hostage by waiting, but instead we're moving forward. So Ms. Bennett is going to be heading that up once we take a vote in the not too distant future to reestablish the budget committees as well as some other committees that we want to do a la bylaws, a la legislative, and so forth and so on. So before we continue on with that, do we need to do a roll call, George, to make certain that we have the prerequisite amount of board members present?
Yeah, I wanted Ursula to take a role if we could.
Yes.
Just so that, because one of the challenges with video is that we also want people to make themselves available so that we could see them. I know a lot of board members only participate via phone, but if you have the ability, to let us see you, just so, because, we never know who really is there.
Because I know sometimes Dr. Goff is on the phone. I know sometimes Ms. Barbara Gibson is on the phone, and we love them to death. And, and I know Ms. Gibson says I never unmute her. So I'm going to try to unmute some of the phones and see if I recognize their phone numbers and then go from there. So with that being said, let's do it this way. I'm going to unmute the, see if I recognize some of the phone numbers first. Ursula, if you want to call the roll, you can, and then we can go from there.
Urs, you have to unmute yourself, Urs.
And there's some background noise as well, so hang on for a second. What I want to do is I'm going to unmute everybody, and I know Ursula's around. Ursula, can you unmute yourself, please? Because then I have to try to find you.
Not letting me.
No, I hear you, Ursula.
You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. You ready?
Yes.
Same. Right. He was okay. So here's my thing. He was here earlier. Now he's not here. Do I put him as present or because he was here earlier?
They need to be here for the vote.
That's
Here
what I
for
was
the
about
vote.
to say, yeah.
All right.
Be here, yeah.
Franklin. Judith. Nigeria.
He's here.
Hillary. Denise. Here. Ivan.
Present.
We didn't hear you. Can you repeat that, please?
Carla. I got her. Marlene. Brown is here with me.
Marlene is here, right?
Okay.
Marlene is here, yeah.
Deacon Brown is here with me. Norbert. Dr. Burke. Sadie. Skylar. Evelyn. Bill. Joan.
He's here.
Tolene.
She's here.
She's here, right?
Yeah, she's there.
Kevin.
Here.
Alfredo.
Here.
Barbara.
She's there. Miss Gibson?
Yes.
Yeah, we got you, see? We got you. You're here, right?
Johnny.
Johnny, hang on for a second. Let me see if I find her number. Wait. You said Johnny Goff, right? I don't see her.
right, Chantel, Robert,
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
William,
Wagwan.
Lisa, here, John, Theodore. All right, you know I'm gonna mess up your name. Alpha,
She's here.
I'm here.
Carl, Lanzano, Lucille, Mary, Clinton.
Yeah. Here.
Carmen Ortiz, Frank,
That's what Frank got the phone.
Claudia, Anthony Reed, Anthony.
Hang on for a second, Ursula. Did you
I'm
get
here.
Anthony Reed? He's
I'm here.
there. Did you get Anthony Reed?
Felix, Kostrika, Nicole.
Let's see. Nicole Weir was there.
Yeah,
I
I saw her
see
name there.
I saw her name. I'm trying to see if she's still there. She was there. Yeah, she's still there. She's. I don't know why you can't hear, but she's. I'm looking at her. I'm looking at her right now. So she is there.
All right, we have 23.
Ursula, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Did you give me a minute to get unmuted?
I got you.
Okay.
All right, and I think Dr. Burke, 22 is a quorum for us. We lost 4 members today.
Yes, we lost 4 members. Right. I was going to
I'm
talk
sorry.
about that. All right. So we are good. All right. So let's move forward. So one of the things that means we can vote on some things that need to come up in new businesses. So I'm gonna try to wrap this up. So board members, I want to say this. The next thing on the agenda is budget consultations. And board members, I can't stress this enough how important this is, right? So let me just say the following, and let me mute everybody again. So let me just say the following. You know, we talked about, we were very angry about what happened with the homeless shelter, right? And we were very angry about some other things that occurred, right? So in order to hold people accountable, it is one thing that you guys have learned about me by now is that I'm all about accountability. The one thing that I can say about our district manager that he does is that he brings these agencies before us, so that we can hold their feet to the fire, right? And so that's what we do, and especially if they piss us off, like DHS has just done. However, in order to do that, in order to write the letter to the elected officials, which has been done, right, we have to hold ourselves accountable, and that's what we were talking about the last time. So I sent out a call to arms to ask board members for a series of 5 questions that they would like to ask any agency so that we can know exactly who to invite to budget consultations, because this is something that we really need to have in order to stop these people from doing what they're doing, right? And so what I want to report to you is that the turnout has been less than desired. So with that being said, I'm just going to put it pretty bluntly. Either let's put up or shut up. All right. So what does that mean? Either we get our questions in so that we can ask these agencies and hold them to account, or we don't. It's just that simple. And if we don't, then we cannot complain about what's happening when they continue to do what they do to us. So board members, the deadline was yesterday, but I'm willing to extend that to next week, Monday, right? And I understand that everybody has a lot going on. So board members, if you can please get your questions in. I know that Ms. Claude, I'm going to shout you out because you got it into me, and I really, really appreciate that and what you've done in getting those, and those are some very good questions that you've posed. But everybody else, all right, let's get the questions in so that we know we want to have sanitation, and we want to have DHS, and we want to have HPD, and we want all of these agencies that are accountable to us. We want to have them at the board or in the next month or so. So I need the questions so that we can know who to invite, so that when we send an invitation to you, board members, and to you, the community, we know exactly who we can bring forward. Okay. So I'm going to ask for that again. And again, that's in the agenda. We want to do is identify the issues that are the most concern for us, and then pose a resolution for them. Okay. So board members, any questions before we move on to the next topic and the last topic in old business? Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, who am I speaking with?
Hi, you're speaking with Adriana Baez.
Okay, Adriana. Okay, so Adriana, unfortunately, questions are for board members. So if you have a question for me, which I see your question, I got to get to it. I'm answering it, but I'm going to get to your question in the chat. Okay.
No, actually, my question was actually from what you just said in regards to the extension for the 5 questions. I wanted to know if I can send you 5 questions and also like my family members, or no.
You know what? That's very good. I would say, you know what? Let's talk. I'd say you can, but let me talk to you in the chat, okay? Because I see you and I got you, and I got you in the chat. So let's say I'll say for now yes, and then we'll see if that's legal or not, okay? Let me follow up. So I would say, but actually, let me I'll issue a more measured response. Let me see if I can do that, and I don't see why you can't, but let me see why and see if make sure that we're okay on that. All right.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Hello,
So
Dr. Buck.
yes, who am I speaking with?
This is Theodore. Do we have any
How you doing,
update from
sir?
our chairman?
What's that?
Do we have any update from our chairman?
I don't have any. Is what I can say. I don't know. Okay. I'm here, and so hopefully you're happy with the job that I'm doing. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions in regards to DHS or any other agencies? Okay, great.
As well.
Okay. There's somebody. Okay, I muted somebody. Who was that I muted?
I had a question about the chair.
Let's hang on to that, because there's some things that we really got some voting issues. Hang on. So Clinton, I got you. There's going to be a session to end where we can ask all those questions. Okay. So just hang on for a second. All right. All right. So let's move on to the last bit of old business. All right. And the last bit of old business is dealing with the graduation video. And so I see Miss Claude here. And so I'm going to unmute Miss Claude. And so I want to turn this over to her. I think that they did a fantastic job. So Miss Claude, if you want to talk about that right quick. And I want to show the video, but somehow or another, I'm not able to do a good job and getting it out to share with everybody. So I just have to make certain that between myself, you, and Ms. Hayes, we can get that out to the body. But if you want to talk about that for a second, please.
Okay, so as everyone knows, this has been a very interesting year, so to speak. The graduating class of 2020, they have worked so hard throughout the year. And this is one day that they look forward to ever since they entered school in the kindergarten grade. They've been looking forward to graduating from high school onto college or beyond. This year was very different, was very special. So now these graduates of 2020, they will certainly have stories to tell their children and their grandchildren, because this will be done, this will be in the history books. Anyway, Dr. Burke came up with the idea that it would be very nice if we would do something for the senior graduates of the schools that are within the Community Board 12 confines. During our research by members of the Education Committee, which is Dr. Goff and Miss Dickerson, they came up with the number 17. There are 17 high schools within that confines. So we decided that we would, the members of the Library and Cultural Affairs Committee, plus these two ladies from the Education Committee, that we would do something very special for these graduates. In the end, we decided that we would submit a video congratulating these graduates. So that's what we did. We submitted a video presentation to be posted, or that was posted on the website of these 17 schools, congratulating the students and also wishing them well in the future, in their future careers. Thanks to you, Dr. Burke, for allowing us to do this. This was very commendable, and I'm sure, Ms. Hayes, you did a wonderful job collecting all these videos and putting them together. And thanks to the committee, because as you said before, one person cannot, well, one person can, but in this case, it was very nice that we had a group of people who worked together very well. My thanks, our thanks to Ms. Sadie Campbell, Lisa Hayes, Denise Bond from the Parks Committee, Marlene Brown, Dr. Goff, Solene Dickerson, and these two ladies are from the Education Committee, Carmen Ortiz. I hope I have not forgotten anyone. Dr. Burke, Ursula, and our dear George Torres. Thank you all. That's my report.
So thank you so much, Ms. Claudia. As I said, right now I'm having problems. It seems like I really my plan was to show you the video, and I really want to thank Ms. Hayes for really putting it together, because you're really talking about putting all of this together. And so I'm having problems, and I'm really I'm apologetic, because I really, especially since we're on TV right now, I really want to show this, and if I can figure it out, I'm going to try to show it. But while we're going into the next topic, I'm going to try to figure this out. So I really want to thank all the ladies who were involved, as well as George and all the board members, as I said. So Ms. Claude mentioned them, so I'm not going to mention it again. But it was absolutely a labor of love to work with all of you. It really and truly was. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to work with you. So under new business, we have some very critical items that we need to discuss. And one of them, of course, is the bylaws. And so I've been having quite a bit of discussion with Ms. Borsati. And so as you know, Ms. Borsati has been a longtime board member. And recently I asked her to be the vice chair of the bylaws committee. And the reason, if you notice that during my tenure as first vice chairs, I've been trying to institute the practice of having vice chairs. And the reason is because if the chair is not available of the committee for any reason, then the vice chair, with the blessing of the chair, has the same authorities that the chair does. And that way, we can continue on and not miss a beat, because that's the one thing that we do not want to do, is miss a beat. And so between Ms. Borsati and myself and a number of people, we've been having this discussion around the bylaws, because as you know, the bylaws is a mechanism in which we can use to really help ourselves when it comes to problematic board members. So as our district manager has said, we were able to get rid of 3 problematic board members and 1 board member who was not problematic, but decided that they no longer want to be on the board. But so that makes our lives a lot easier. The fact that the people who were not showing up, who were not attending when it's taking up space, has not been, we do know for a fact that they have not been reappointed by the borough president. So as stated before, we will try to move this along as quickly as possible and getting rid of problematic board members. that's one thing I promised you that I would try to do. And so we at least have been somewhat successful in making that happen. One of the things that we want to do is we looked at the process of the bylaws and how to amend the bylaws so that we wouldn't be held hostage by those board members. And so, as I said, Ms. Borsati and I and several people have been talking about that. And so there's one thing that I want to bring to your attention. And again, I want to show this to you, and I'm going to try one more time if I can display this, but for time's sake, I'm gonna just move forward with what it says. So if you look at your bylaws, for those of you that need a copy of your bylaws, let us know, we can get you a copy, but every board member should have a copy of the bylaws. But in Article 9, under the Section 1, under the amendments, what the bylaws state is the following, is that any member of the board may propose an amendment to the bylaws, right? Any proposed amendment should be substituted in writing, so it has to be done in writing to the chairperson or the acting chairperson, whoever that may be, who should present it at the next meeting of the board, which of course is this one. But no vote shall be taken at this meeting, all right? This proposed amendment shall then be placed on the agenda of the following board meeting. Of course, this is presuming it's gone to committee, and shall become an amendment to the bylaws upon its approval by the majority of the appointed board members of the board present and voting. So that's what the bylaws actually states, right? So Ms. Barsati has an amendment that she would like to propose. And as I said, so we're getting some guidance. I want to let her present the amendment, and then I'm going to discuss what has taken place since she and I have spoken in the conversations we've had, and then be able to figure out how we're going to do this going forward, because we are going to call it to a vote. So, Ms. Borsati.
Hi. Okay. So can everyone hear me? Am I
Yes.
doing this right? Because I've got two devices going here because I'm typing minutes on one and watching on the other. So basically, so there are two approaches to dealing with the bylaws. One is to amend the 2000 bylaws, and the other is to try and pass new bylaws. But passing new bylaws requires a 3/4 board membership vote, which we never have achieved in my 14 years on the board. So my proposal is to amend that section 10 of the 2000 bylaws to say a simple majority is required to approve new bylaws, so that those of us who care and show up, as long as there are 22 or whatever the number is at that time in September, can vote and say we want the new bylaws. So that's basically it. Right? We just want that 3/4 requirement to be removed. Was that clear enough, or should I?
No, I think, I'm seeing our second vice chair has his thumb up. So, and I think most people were shaking their heads. So, looking at my screen. So I think everybody's in agreement with you. So if I can, so let me just tell you what, what I've been doing in the background. So, obviously you and I have discussed this, as well as our district manager, as well as down at the borough president's office, to get some guidance. And so that's still ongoing. But I think what we need to do is, in order to make this legitimate, is do just what you did to bring the proposal before the board. So it is in writing, and I do have a copy, as well as the district manager has a copy of, and you just stated it publicly for the entire board to hear, in that I'm having problems displaying it. So what has to happen in order for this to work, is that you or Mr. Stricker, preferably Mr. Stricker, because he's the chair, and then if he doesn't call a meeting, and you call a meeting of the bylaws committee over the summer and discuss it in committee. So it has to come out of committee. And then in September, then we can actually vote on the recommendation or the amendment to the bylaws.
Right, so exactly. So we followed procedure down to the letter. It has to be, any proposed amendment to the bylaws must be presented in one meeting and then voted on in the following. So we've now done that and satisfied that.
But you still have to go to committee.
Yes, we have a meeting scheduled for July 8th,
Okay.
the bylaws committee. So we're on track with taking it to committee.
Okay. Great. And so can you tell us who the members of the bylaws committee is again, Ms. Borsati, for those who don't know?
So it's myself, Mr. Carl Stricker as chairman, Mr. John Isaac, Ms. Tolene Dickerson, and Ms. Judith Benitez.
Okay. So that is your bylaws committee. So we have a recommendation to amend the bylaws so that we will not be restricted by the 3/4 measure necessary to adopt new bylaws. And so I think there are a couple of things that we can amend. So with that being said, I think that it's good that they're going to committee, and then obviously they're going to report out of committee. I would imagine an executive session first, and then to the body, and then we can go from there. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Any questions, board members, for Ms. Borsati or myself? Okay, I see Mr. Isaac has his hand up, so I'm going to unmute you, sir. Yes, sir.
Should we actually send out notice to all the board members by mail also, because there's a lot of board members that don't have the video chat or the other internet means or whatever. So could we just send out like a official letter and just let them know that a vote will be taking place?
Oh, go ahead, George. Go ahead.
So, John, we're in phase 2 now of the New York reopening. So theoretically, when I was talking to Tom this afternoon, my understanding is that we can do in-person meetings with social distancing of less than 10 people. So, for example, if the bylaws committee, which is 5 people, wanted to have a meeting and 5 other people from the community wanted to participate, or even 5 other board members, we could do both. Like I could set up, and I do owe Carla I have to set up the Zoom or the Cisco WebEx, whatever the preference is, for July 8th. But we could do that at the board as long as there were 10 people or less at the board, and then we could also do a video conference. And phase 3, which may be by July 8th, we don't know if it's going to be the middle of July or the end of July. And phase 3, they're suspecting that the number will increase to 25 people. And phase 4, they're suspecting that that number will increase to 50 people. So if we get to phase 4, we could even start doing full board meetings at the office.
Which I think is what everybody's looking forward to be totally honest with you. So does that answer your question, John? Okay. Any other questions?
John is muted. I don't know if.
Yeah, I know, but he would have unmuted himself, so I think he's good.
This is great.
Okay. All right. So are you good, John?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Burke, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. So I was wondering, it may be appropriate after this first motion passes, but my question was prior, we had previously discussed having vice chairs for every committee, like you said, or also with executive positions in case. So for me, specifically for secretary, I know Ms. Vasati had offered before to support me. I don't know if she's still open to do that. So should I make a motion for there to be an executive, like vice chair for secretary, or should that wait after we pass the motion?
So you're talking about in the bylaws, or what are you talking about?
Right. So I think. Oh, sorry.
No, please, Ms. Vasati, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, I think we had a chat about having an executive board role called recording secretary. so that one of us can be recording while the other one is doing roll call, because it's really logistically challenging, if not impossible, to do both. So I would say let's propose a role of recording secretary in the newly amended or completely rewritten, whichever way we go, bylaws, if that makes sense to you.
I appreciate that and support that.
So
Okay,
I
yeah,
think
thank you
what I'm
for-
hearing, so I think what we need is, so you've made the motion. So am I hearing a motion, or am I hearing, because I know that with the bylaws, we're going in the committee and we're going to come out and vote on that in September. So I don't think a motion is needed for that, right?
Right. So I agree, Dr. Burke. I think that now it's in committee.
Yes.
So anyone can propose an amendment to the bylaws. The committee has to take that input on board, debate it in committee, and then in September, produce another document, which then needs a motion. I don't think we need a motion right now, according
You need a motion now. Oh,
Hello?
yes.
This is Robert Hall. I just wanted to ask George Torres, phase 4, when is that projected to take place?
My understanding is this is all the metric, all the phases of reopening are based on metrics if the city's meeting it. So we've met the criteria for phase 2. Upstate New York, for example, is already at phase 3. Again, this is from guidance from the BP's office. We're assuming right now that phase 3 is somewhere either the first week of July or the second week of July. And again, if we continue to do well and continue to meet the metrics that the governor has put forward, we may very well be in phase 4 by the middle of August or even the end of August. So, theoretically, if we get to phase 4 where you're going to have 50 people meeting in a space, we have 50 board members or less, we could actually meet in person at the board.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. So thank you, Mr. Hall, for that question. So with that, we're almost done. A couple of other items that we need that are very important items that we need to vote on. So with that being said, I think the two items are the budget committee that we just talked about, as well as the and that's an ad hoc committee, as well as bring back the legislative affairs committee, which was an ad hoc committee as well. And so the structure is in place. And let me explain why this is very, very important. So I kind of sort of explained why the budget committee was needed for looking at the 501c3. So I don't need to go over that again. But I think Dr. Hall proposed this a while ago with the legislative committee, and I think that it's extremely important. Ms. Borsati and I talked about this. Ms. Jerry Bennett and I talked about this, and Mr. Boris and I talked about this as well. And I think that it's extremely important, and particularly in light of what's going on. A lot of us need to monitor the legislation. We just had elections that just took place this past Tuesday, and we really need to watch not only who we elect, but the type of legislation that they're voting for. Now, do we agree that every politician is going to agree with all of our values? The answer is no, right? But the bottom line is that by looking at what they're doing, we can hold their feet to the fire and also know what's coming down the pike as well. So we'll know what's coming before it comes. And so I think having the legislative committee will allow us to do that, to find out what's going on, not at the city level, but at the state level. And if we can, federally, but mainly city and state. And more importantly, have that budget committee in place with that 501c3 so that if we have a Mark Stagg or an Alan Bell or Kim Tasker or Department of Homeless Services or anything like that, then of course we can have the funds necessary to either bring on an attorney or to hire a city planner or for what else that we can do, because we as a city agency can't do it, because we as a community board is a city agency. We can't do it, but the 501c3 can with the budget committee. So the way I envision this is the budget committee working harmoniously with the legislative committee. And even though they're two separate committees, they're communicating with each other. And with that, they're communicating to the leadership of the board, thus communicating with the board itself. So that's my vision on this. And so the legislative committee expired last year and the budget committee expired last month. So what I would like for is a motion, and again, since I'm the chair, I can't make it, but if we can have a motion extending those committees until at the bare minimum June of next year. And then if we do not add them to the bylaws, then at least we can look at renewing the vote every single year. So in particular, but we do need the budget committee. We do need the legislative committee. So I'm asking for a motion that we can have so that we can vote on that, call the roll and vote on it.
Okay, I would be happy to make the motion, but I don't think it's appropriate because one of those committees is mine.
That's correct.
Okay, so
so I need somebody else on the floor to make a motion.
yeah.
Can I make a, and do I just say motion? I don't know how to make a motion.
No, that's fine. How you doing, Miss Last? How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Glad to have you on board. So what's the motion? How do you want it? So what do you want? So let's give it your best shot.
I would like to make a motion to go ahead with the 501c3 as well as the legislative committee. Is that fair? Or the budget committee?
You want to say the budget committee? That's good though. That's good. That's good. You're doing a good job, right?
Ivan Boris second.
Okay. So the motion has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any more questions before we call for the vote? You have a question, John?
No.
No. Okay. All right. So let me ask it this way: instead of having the secretary call the roll, is there anybody that is not in favor of these committees? Okay. So since everybody's in favor, it passes with one unanimous motion. So we've now established a legislative committee whose term will end June 30th, 2021. We've now established a budget committee whose term will end June 2021. Ms. Borsati, you are the chair of the legislative committee, so you're more than happy to get your committee members together. You know who they are. I know who they are. Ms. Bennett, you are now in charge of the budget committee. So if you need your committee members, I will get that to you. I will get that to you offline. So just actually, you're good at calling me. Just give me a call and I'll let you know who your committee members are. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Great. So we are just about done. Oh, I forgot you're still up, Ms. Bennett, because the next item under new business, we got really two more items. The next item up is, so again, the one thing that you've heard me say, board members, is that if any board member comes up with an idea that is a good idea, I'm all on board. And so Ms. Bennett has come up with an excellent idea in regards to a retreat. And I looked at her plan and it is absolutely fantastic. So I would love for Ms. Bennett to discuss her plan for having a retreat, board member retreat.
Okay, everybody. So I'm Egeria Bennett. Okay. I had put this plan out. I think George and they had worked on it for a little while. I was trying to get a place for it. But what I'd say is that it's a plan for a retreat. It could be an all-day retreat. It could be at the planning board. And I had an agenda. I thought I would be able to share it too, but I'd have to practice on how to get that. Okay. But over some of the items that I said that we would have to have, we'd have to have an agenda, and I have the agenda is set from 9 a.m. to 3 o'clock. All right. And the agenda goes from 9:30 to 12 noon.
And it's an introduction of the board chair, the district manager, purpose of the retreat. All right, we have to understand the purpose, and it's really an overview of goals for the day to identify the planning board goals. We have to set a strategic plan. We can set a 5-year plan for this. Set the plan comes to us, you know, so we might as well sit down and create what we want as a plan. I said that some of the people that needs to be there would be like city planning, because we got to go know what's on their minds. That's why DHS and all of these people are able to come in here and put up the buildings that they are putting up, you know. And the thing about zoning, this rezoning that's happening to us is the same as redlining. Redlining happened years ago. I mean, back in the 1930s, this neighborhood was redlined. And now they are substituting the rezoning for the red line. Okay. It's so serious. They want a red line to make buildings taller, to eliminate single homes. And that's what's destroying the community. So this is extensive. I even had, like, we took a lunch break from 12 to 1:30. 1:30, we come back, we reconvene from 1:30 to 4:30. We talk about community needs. There has to be a community needs assessment. I remember when those people came and they did a community needs. I never got any feedback from them. What did the community say? You know, who did you ask? You know, I remember once when we had a community needs, we really went around. We went to Evander Childs High School. They had a group of people there, a whole lot of people there that came. So we would have to have a community needs. So there's things also about the committees and stuff, and what did the committees do? So it's really analyzing like what Miss Ortiz had finished and put together in that resource book for the community board, in addition to what the city planning book has, you know. But the thing is, we got to do this together, you know, because, you know, we are all so separate. Like when a new board member comes on, I don't know who it is. We don't know who it is, you know. So many people look at me, they don't know who I am. You know, they don't know who I am. I saw one person on the community board, he looked at me and he treated me like, oh, who are you? And I said, I'm.
Hang on for a second, Ms. Bennett. Hold on, Ms. Bennett. Hold on.
You hear firecrackers, right?
Yeah, the fireworks. Yeah, is that you?
Yeah, that's going on outside my backyard.
Okay. Because
So
I'm
I'm
sitting
not
in
going to talk long.
fireworks. Okay.
Yeah, I know. All of a sudden tonight, I want to close my windows and stuff.
Okay,
You know?
that's okay.
But we've got to do this. We got to do it together. We got to face to face with each other, you know, because I don't think this is going to happen if we don't face to face with each other. We have to have a sense that, you know, when you come on here, there's a welcoming committee, even just a welcoming committee. We got to embrace the new people that come on the board. You know, I mean, that's how it works. You know, like, I don't want to say like it's a family, but in a sense, we are doing things together, collaboratively. All of the committees that meet, they have to meet collaboratively. They can't just meet one committee to another. And that's what we got to discuss at the retreat, you know. I think I'm going to send this to Ursula. I do have it in a PDF file. I'll send it, I guess, to Ursula to see if she would send it out to all of you so that you could see what the schedule would be. Okay. So that's it. I want to stop because the fireworks are going to keep on going. All right.
Not a problem. I mean, let me just say this. Let me thank you, because I mean, what you sent me was absolutely outstanding. And I think you said the key word here. You said family. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm looking in the chat, and people are just okay. But you should see the response. With, I mean, because we are family. I mean, you think about it. That's how we try to be, and you know, that's how I operate. And trying to work like that. And so you said the key word, we are family, and only together as a family are we gonna fight this that's going on right now. You know what I mean? So you're absolutely right. So using your family metaphor, get after your brothers and sisters and tell them to get me those doggone questions by next week, Monday. You know what I mean? Yeah. So outside of the pod. So I see Miss Sadie laughing, but you know, still, so yes, that's what needs to happen. All right. So thank you very, very much.
it's kind of like with the other communities, you know, like when you look at Riverdale and the others, when they could go ahead and they could get a busload and have 500 people go down to City Hall or go down to wherever, because they're going to rail against anything that's going to change the fabric of the quality of life in their community. And we could really do the same thing. You know, I was at a meeting that they had over this thing about the shelter. And that's what they said. They said, oh, if we got to get buses, we got to get buses. But what I'm saying, and as I think I shared it with John, like somebody called me and said, oh, are you going to the meeting? It was on a Saturday. I said, what meeting? And they said, the meeting is at 1 o'clock. I said, what meeting is at 1 o'clock? And they just telling me this. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to get up. I'm going to go. I'm going to this meeting. I want to find out who these people are, what it's about. And I went there. They thought I was Ursula. You know, everybody always thinks I'm Ursula. But I went to the meeting and it was good because it was a set of community people that, you know, we have some of the people that has been to our community board meetings. And like I heard from them, I heard their passion. I heard how close it is to this person's house. I heard how this person has to close his windows because the people out of the shelter are smoking weed. I heard how a woman had to protect her daughter because when her daughter went to put the garbage out, there's a man from the shelter that's like talking to the daughter. And they decided as a collective, they were going to go down to the shelter to try to speak to the director. And they did. And that was not good because it ended up kind of an altercation. You know, it did end up in an altercation. A couple of the people that was with them got a little concerned, a little fearful, you know, but I'm just saying, if we are a community, you know, protecting the fabric of the quality of life in our community, it's going to begin with all of us coming together like this. And we can do that at planning board. I'm telling you, we just got to do it. Okay. That's all I got to say.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Bennett, because I forgot there's one other item that we need to vote on. So thank you, Ms. Bennett. So Ms. Bennett is going to get that out to Ursula, who's going to get it out to us board members. As I said, it's an excellent document. We need to do it, come together and plan about, you know, how we're going to do this. Okay. One thing that we also need to do is the following. So we need a nominating committee. But before we do the nominating committee, we actually need a resolution to extend the leadership, meaning that, you know, Dr. Hall is still a chair, I'm still the first vice chair, Mr. Isaac is still the second vice chair, Ms. Hayes is still the secretary, and Mr. Raldon is still the treasurer until next September when we have elections. So we need that resolution. And then, of course, we're going to do the nominating committee tonight and get those members together. And then we will have our elections in September where, you know, we can do what we want to do with our board. So with that being said, what we do need is a motion or a resolution to extend the current leadership until September 30. So I need a motion on the floor.
I make a motion that we extend the current executive board as it stands.
Until September, okay. There's been a motion on the floor. Who seconded it?
Nicole.
Okay. So it's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any unreadiness? So let me ask the question, all right? So without calling the roll, because we still got one other item and then we're out, without calling the roll, is there anybody that is opposed to that? All right. Motion passes with one unanimous vote. All right. So next, of course, is we need said nominating committee. And so, as I said before, elections are due. So the way that it works, according to our bylaws, is that prior to the next elections, that you have a nominating committee. And so, just for the record, we have our nominating committee in place. So our committee this year will be chaired by Mr. Clinton Mike. So Clinton Mike will be the chair. He's smiling. That's great. Will be the chair of our nominating committee and of course, he has his board members. And so his board members will be Ms. Denise Bond, will be Mr. Frank Alapo, Ms. Marlene Allen, and Mr. Theodore James. So they are the nominating committee. And so they're responsible for coming up with a slate of candidates for chair, first vice chair, second vice chair, treasurer, and secretary. And we may decide, based on what I'm hearing from this discussion, to actually formally add to the bylaws a position of recording secretary. But I think we may have to do that after the September election. So that is our nominating committee. So if you are interested in running for office or to be a board officer, please see any committee members, but in particular, as I said, Mr. Mike, since he's the committee chair, and then they will come back with our slate of candidates from there. Okay. All right, so pretty much, board members, I am almost done. The one thing that I want to wrap up with is I think, and John Isaac and I, and Ajira, you've heard her speak, and several of you have told me privately about effective outreach. And we were supposed to talk about this last month, and we really didn't, but effective outreach. And so one of the things I think we need to look at is how to get out to the community. Because as Ms. Bennett just said, all right, there are members, and Mr. Isaac, our second vice chair, said this, there are sometimes members of the community that really have no clue as to what we're doing. And so we've got to change that. And so we need to really come up with a way for effective community outreach, whether it be, and I know, for instance, I know Mr. LeCrown, I'm looking at him, he had mentioned that maybe we need a veterans committee. Well, even if it's not a standing committee, maybe we can look at that as an ad hoc committee, because the veterans, Mr. LeCrown, you and your crew can help get the word out as to what we're doing, right? Exactly. Okay, thank you. So that's what I'm saying. So maybe that's something that we need to look at. So I've asked our second vice chair, and I know I'm putting a lot on Ms. Bennett, but they've really been supportive of more effective community outreach. So maybe, you know, an idea that I think Mr. Isaac had, which I like, was maybe having some of our committee meetings at some of the other places, like Ms. Johnson does with the precinct council meetings and how they move it around. Maybe that's an idea for more effective community outreach. Again, I don't know, I'm just one person, but together, you know, we can do it. So something to think about, board members. And so I asked that we think about that over the summer. Yes, Carla.
Okay, so yeah, sorry to interrupt. I have two suggestions, both of which George and I have discussed. One is just putting, I donated 2 easels where we can at least put out in front of the building when we're having in-person meetings again, some pre-printed, Staples printed announcements saying, board meeting tonight, everyone welcome, please join us at 7 p.m. So just, you know, to get the passers-by. And then the other document I developed is a list of all the local newspapers in the community. It covers everything from the Caribbean community, the Muslim community, and we can place notices in there free of charge, won't cost us anything, just saying community board meeting or committee meeting, please come. So I think there was some plan at some point to have another person on the board whose job it was to do community outreach, but I have this list. I will share it with everyone. If you want to communicate your board meetings to the general public, it's, I don't know, 7 or 10 newspapers that just cover our area. And that, I think, is just another way to connect with the community.
Well, I think I like your idea, because I'm looking at a chat right now. Someone named David is saying maybe we can design artwork for the easels. So that's just going on in the chat. So if I know that you're doing a couple of things there, Carla, but someone else says that they think it would be a good place to start. I think one of the things that I've seen in Manhattan that I have not seen here is that they have the electronic easels or the electronic notification, which actually lets people know when their community board meetings are taking place. There's one by my church in Harlem, in which and I forget what community, but I don't know if that's community board 10 in Manhattan. I don't know which community board that is, but they have the big electronic signs where when their community board meeting is, because it's placed electronically. So, to that end, I'm open to that idea or any other ideas that, you or others can come up with. But I just think that we need, more effective community outreach. I know Ms. Johnson and I were talking about, the 4-7 Precinct Council and her organization, as well as the other organizations that we have. Obviously I'm in a fraternity, we have brothers here, some came out on Friday, things like that. So just looking at our community partnerships and, being able to, use those. And so I'm on board. So any idea is a good idea. I think if you remember what we learned in school, there's no such thing as a dumb question. So I know Mr. Figueroa, I know he's leading a task force to do the resource guide, kind of sort of what you were talking about with a combination of newspapers and stuff like that, which is different than your and Miss Ortiz's idea that George has already come up with. So anyway, I don't want to be too verbose, but because I want to represent, but I like the idea. So let's talk about that over the summer. And that's one of the last thing I want to talk about, board members, before leaving, is closing remarks. This has been one hell of a year. You know what I mean? It really and truly has. I really thank you for trusting me to be your first vice chair. It's been one heck of a ride. It's been an emotional ride, as George and Ursula can attest to, and some board members as well can attest to, what I think. But it's been a joy to work with each and every one of you. And I know, no one's perfect. I'm not perfect, but the one thing that I've always told you about is that you can always count on me to hold you accountable, as well as I expect you to hold me accountable. So if I can, before closing out the meeting, I want to leave the board with a poem. And it's a poem that, members of Omega Psi Phi know. And this poem is called A Bridge Builder. And I want you to think about this as we, and it's not a long poem, so I'm just leaving with this. An old man going a lone highway came at the evening, cold and gray, to a chasm vast and deep and wide, through which was flowing a sullen tide. An old man crossed in the twilight dim. The sullen stream had no fear for him, but he turned when safe on the other side and built a bridge to span the tide. Old man, said a fellow pilgrim near, you are wasting your strength with building here. Your journey will end with the ending day. You never again pass this way. You have crossed the chasm deep and wide. Why build this bridge at evening tide? The builder lifted his old gray head. Good friend, in the path I have come, he said. There followed after me today a youth whose feet must pass this way. This chasm that has been as naught to me, to that fair-haired youth may a pitfall be. He too must cross in the twilight dim. Good friend, I'm building this bridge for him. Board members, we are bridge builders. We are bridge builders. We are, and again, as I said, that's something that everybody in my fraternity, if they want to be a member, and even of us, we know this poem through and through. But we're bridge builders. I look at us as bridge builders. there are those of you, look at Miss Ortiz and, and Miss Claude and Miss Sadie and Miss Benitez and all those who have heard me talk to them. You guys have been the bridge builders for my generation, such as myself and Clinton and Alfredo and so forth and so on. And I say all of that to say that we as a board are building bridges for the community that is coming behind us. So the question is, what are we going to leave them? So with that, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting for the year.
Dr. Burke, just one real quick announcement for the board members.
Sure.
I'm going to be in the office tomorrow. A lot of board members put it in the chat about picking up the books at the office. I will be at the board between 9 a.m. and 12 noon. So if you want to stop by and pick up the book, stop by. I'll give it to you. And that's it.
Okay, and also I see where Ms. Hayes has put in the chat the link for the video. So if any of you want to see the graduation video that the combination of the Library and Cultural Affairs Committee, as well as education, as well as I got to add Mr. Nee Spahn from Parks, if you want to take a look at that video, it's in the chat, so it's available for everybody. Hopefully we can get it up to our Facebook page, but board members, it's been a joy. So thank you very, very much for allowing me to. Sir, Miss Ortiz, you got something? Okay, hang on, Miss Ortiz. Hold on, let me unmute you. Go. You got it, Miss Ortiz.
I want some help in trying to find out what are we going to do about these firecrackers at night, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. I mean, I hear a lot of stuff that they're going to do, but nobody is doing anything around the neighborhood. I complained to 311. I don't want to call the cops because that would be worse.
Okay,
So what can help me? What can we do?
Okay, so I see Ursula's got her hand up, so let me mute you. And let me take Ursula off. Yes, Urs. Hang on. Okay, got you. Nope, that's the wrong person. Okay, I thought that was Ursula. Okay. Ursula, I thought you said something. Okay. So that I know is a 4-7 issue, but I know Ms. Johnson was on here, and I think they were dealing with that. That was another topic of her meeting 2 weeks ago, and I think that
I got something.
I think that she can definitely say that. I can say that based on that meeting that it is being addressed. And so, Ms. Johnson, you can put it in the chat if you can. But I know that that was being addressed at her meeting, the firecrackers and so forth. And I know George has something he wants to say.
Very quickly, Carmen, the borough president had a meeting this morning for borough board. We had the sheriff department on there, and we also had the fire marshals on there. The mayor, they demonstrated in front of Gracie Mansion because of all the noise of the fireworks. They set off all these fireworks at Gracie Mansion. He got the picture. He created a task force. That's why the sheriff was a part of it. This is not something that they normally did, but basically what they're doing is they're trying to catch people who are selling and vending all of these fireworks because it's illegal to sell it in New York City. And it's also illegal to set them off in New York City. So they're going after online people who are online, I guess, selling this stuff, in addition to doing active, like, undercover patrols. That's what the sheriff's office, if you saw the New York Post this morning, they made an arrest of somebody who was selling like $2,400 worth of fireworks. So it is ramping up. But I will just say I'm going to be very straight because I said this at the East 222nd Street meeting that Pam chaired. This is something that occurs every year. It seems a little more frequent this year. I don't know why that is, but it is something that happens every year. And hopefully, after, we're very close to July 4th. As soon as that's over, it won't be so painful. And hopefully this task force will actually capture a lot of those people who are selling the stuff.
Okay, hang on for a second. Hang on, Ms. Ortiz. So I'm also, let me just comment that Ms. Johnson did put in the chat that she just got, so Ms. Johnson was, in fact, she was driving home. They just had a meeting about that. So, as I said, they're on it, Ms. Ortiz. So they're on it. Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. I know that you're on it. And as I said, so, they're on it, Ms. Ortiz, okay?
In the meantime, my dog is gonna die of a heart attack.
Okay, so we about to go. I need a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Okay, I need anybody want to
Second.
All right, motion been properly seconded. No problem. Take care, everybody.
Bye. Good night.
Bye. Take care. Thank you for this year.
Bye, everybody.
It's really been great. Thank you.
How can I get into the chat?
The chat.
Yeah.
The chat is open, so it's right there. So what are you looking at?
I just click on it.
Yeah, just click on chat. Yeah, you should see like a like somebody talking.
Dr. Burke, I think you can save the chat and then you can email it to me and I can send it to everybody.
How do I do that?
Oh, okay, great.
Dr. Burke, can we confirm quorum?
You right click the face, select all, and just do a copy.
Save everything that was said.
Where? I'm missing it. Where?
You do on the chat. You do on your mouse. You click on the right button.
The right button.
You see select all.
No.
Oh, where is that in?
Yeah, you got to right click, not left click.
Use the right click. You select all.
Under what? Under the chat?
Under the chat. Yes.
On the chat.
On the chat?
On the chat. Yes. You use the right click.
I don't see that option.
No, I don't see that either.
You go.
to
You put
see
the mouse
everything that we just
cursor.
said.
You put the mouse cursor into the chat.
Into the chat.
You right click it.
Oh, I see it. Okay, select all. Okay.
Yeah. Then copy, and then you can paste it onto a Word document that we can.
Okay, I got it. I got it. Okay, I got it.
George, can we just confirm quorum? I want to make sure I have everything correct here.
Yeah, Urs, you have the roll call, right? Is Urs still here?
I don't know.
All right, I can. Who wants it? Is this Lisa or?
No, it's Alexis.
Alexis.
Okay, Alexis. Can I email it to you tonight?
Yes, thank you so much.
Because Ursula's in the office, so I'll tell her to scan it, and then I'll email it to you tonight.
Okay, thank you.
All right, cool.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Alexis.
Good night, Alexis.
Bye.
Everybody. Appreciate you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. So, everybody, I really enjoy each and every one of you. I really and truly did.
Stay safe.
Not a problem. So I like to see. What's that?
Happy summer.
Not a problem. You too. I mean, like I said, hopefully we'll be seeing you. I see Miss Dickerson and here Judy Hudson, who of course, we should find a committee for her to be on, right? Judy, I see you muting yourself. We're not having that.
Anyway.
So everybody's unmuted now. So I see Senator Biaggi still on. Marianne Joyce is still on. We love each and every one of you, just so you know that, all right?
Bye.
Everybody can talk to everybody.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Summer, guys.
Good night. This is Hillary.
Dr. Burke, you did a great job. Thanks, man. This was.
Thank you, man.
This was seamless.
Yeah.
I was really excited.
Yeah. This was a good one. And I appreciate that. So hopefully everybody can see those videos, you know what I mean?
Finish now. What do I do? Enter.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully everybody gets to see those videos. I think you'll see Miss Claude in her finest. You'll see Miss Sadie in her finest, Miss Allen.
Finest.
Doing her thing. I mean, it was just great. Where's Denise? Denise Bond. She rocked it. She did what was it?
Maya Angelou, Stella I Rise.
Stella I Rise, yeah, it was great. I mean,
crazy how instant the video is up online.
Yeah, I couldn't show it. I don't know why. Something was going on with my computer, but and I kind of sort of did a poor job with community speaks, but nonetheless, I'm just glad that everybody was able to get something out of it. Mr. Crown, I saw you on TV the other day. Toba, I saw you on TV the other day. Yeah, that's what you were doing, but you were on News 12.
Oh, really? Did I look handsome? Thank you.
Only thing you gotta do is you gotta do like me now and get you a haircut. You know what I mean? To be honest with you, you see George got his haircut right the first day of peace, he went and got him
I'm waiting on phase three.
haircut, you know? So that is
Good night, everyone.
Good night, man.
Yeah.
Take care, Toba.
Thank you, sir. Miss Susie, good night.
Good night.
Take care, George. Catch up with you soon.
Take care.
All right.
Did Victor Martinez ever come on, George?
I did not see him.
Okay.
I just so you know, I'm actually I'm not even looking at Cisco right now. I'm copying the chat onto a Word document, and I'm going to email it to Ursula so she can share it with everybody.
Yeah, I did the same thing. So I mean, because I think people were still chatting though. Yeah, people were still chatting. So that's just it. So I think it was just absolutely great. You know, it really and truly was. So it was just it was good. You know, I mean, it really and truly was good. So I just thank everybody for what they've done. Senator, I see you're still on. You know, we really appreciate your leadership. Up in Albany and sending Ms. Joyce to us every single board meeting. You know, we really appreciate that. Well, I thought the senator was still on. Let me see. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Well, the senator is maybe she's away. But that's pretty much it. So now John is from BronxNet, right?
Yes. Well, no. John is our team. John is New Face Media.
Right, but that's still, it goes to BronxNet though, right?
No,
we're freelancers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So everything went great, guys. We had no tech issues today, none at all. So it was a really good show.
Well, that's great. How was our Facebook forum?
We have 165 views tonight.
Really? Okay.
Pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's good.
I mean,
Reviews.
Any comments?
We got some comments. Some people said good evening. Then somebody wrote "Poor of the Boogie Down Bronx is watching." I'm not sure what that means, but we got 13 comments in total.
Okay.
But a lot of
that's Lucille. I responded to her.
Oh, okay. I honestly wasn't too sure.
Yeah. That's Lucille Bowles Wilson. So everybody who was on the conversation tonight on Facebook, I responded to them directly.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's good for that engagement.
Lucille, and God knows how long. Well, I guess this pandemic has got us all locked up too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Adriana, I know what was your question, honey? You had a question about what was that?
Hi, Dr. Burke. So I remember early on when you were discussing about the meeting with DHS that was interested in a particular site to build a shelter, and then you met with them, and after they pulled back. So I wanted to know, why did they pull back? And I also wanted to know if the site was still available.
Well, yeah, that's the site that they're using now. So yeah, they pulled back because we beat the hell out of them. That's why. George can probably talk to it, but yeah.
So how were they able to develop now there if they pull back? Like, I'm just confused. It seems like a game of like tug of war. It's like, all right, they decided, all right, you know what, we're not going to, and then fast forward, yeah, we're going to.
So are we talking about 4747?
I don't know.
So yeah.
All right. So the issue with 47, a couple of years ago, HRA wanted to build a HACCP facility there. And HACCP facility is a different type of shelter. And this is actually one of the, I mean, I don't want to be too technical, but this is where the DHS and the city likes to split hairs. So the community that was there that lived on Bronx Boulevard really, they marched on them. They really fought back, not physically, obviously, but you know, they demonstrated in ways that the non-for-profit provider at that time was Communal Life. They walked away. They walked away from the project. They said we're going to never do it. And not only that, uh, the community was able to have a meeting back then with the commissioner, Stephen Banks, and Stephen Banks came out and said, "Oh, hey, we're never putting a shelter there. Like never, ever, 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 we're doing a shelter." Lo and behold, this happens, and what did they do? They break their promise to the community and they open this. And you know, it was I guess the community was always skeptical of the site because the landlord, still kept developing that site as a hotel. It was a building that they converted into a hotel. And you know, everybody in the community is like, well, why are you still continuing to do this if you know that DHS is not going to take the site? 2 years later, you know, nobody anticipated that COVID-19 would happen. But 2 years later, here we are. Because of social distancing, they needed to open up this shelter so that they can lessen the number of people that were in that other shelter. They moved the people from the Willows men's shelter in the South Bronx. So now you have each shelter, men's shelter, has about 200 people. You have about 100 men at the Willow men's shelter, and you have another 100 men at 4747 Bronx Boulevard. We are told this is temporary.
Is there a written contract that is temporary? Because
That's a great question because we spoke to the public advocate's office about it. The contract has not even been registered yet with the city. They're doing this on an emergency basis. So what we've asked for from the public advocate's office is we want to know when this contract is brought before them. We want to know what, you know, quote unquote, what temporary means. Did they sign this contract for 6 months? Was it 3 months? You know, is it a month-to-month basis? So that's an excellent question. We're waiting to hear back on that.
okay, yeah, I would definitely be interested in that. And then if I can go into the Department of Buildings and the ACRA system and see what information I can find, I can try my hardest. The reason why I'm so passionate about this is because my family bought a property in the area, and when we bought the property, there were so many photographs of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and it was very residential. And we heard many stories from the neighbors that are still living there, that lived prior, that it was a very strong community back then. We also seen the changes, and I'm like, all right, this is going left field. There's too many developers there. There's people that don't care. And then what upsets me the most is these shelters. I'm like, I don't ever remember growing up with like 7 shelters nearby. I'm like, this is odd. So if there's anything that I can do, I would, you know, let me know. Like everyone, I'm juggling a lot of work, personal things. But if you can give me a focus of what it is that I can do research or whatever, I'd be interested in that. I also have another question in regards to what Miss Egypt was discussing about the subzoning, and I'm actually very thankful that she reached on this topic because I follow the market on Street Easy, and I saw how the housing market went down at one point during COVID. But what also, you know, was alarming to me was that there were some areas that were gentrified and subzoned as North New York or West New York or Northwest New York. So I'm like, wait, so now they're trying to do what they did with Astoria, Queens, or with Queens and in Brooklyn. They're trying to do it here. They're trying to rename and reshape the Bronx, essentially.
Yeah, if we let them, yeah. If we let them, and that's why, if you notice, I'm on board members, right? That's why I said what I said tonight, you know, regarding not only about getting I think you asked the question, George. So let me ask this. If she wanted to submit questions, I don't see why she can't, right? But I want to make certain that, you know, that was, you know, was above board.
Yeah, no, I mean, if she submits questions either to me or to you, we can always incorporate it. You know, one of the practices or the reasons why we want questions from all the board members is obviously there's going to be a little overlap. You know, some people are thinking the same way, they're going to ask the same question. So we reduce that, you know, by just consolidating. And the other thing is we submit those questions in advance to HPD so that when they come to us, they have an answer. We're not trying to play gotcha with anybody. And we don't want to just spring a question on them and they not have an answer for it. So yes, you can submit questions. I guess, and this is an interesting thing. It's district budget consultations and it's board members, but because it's board members, I think the public has to participate. We just have to make them public. I mean, whether the public participates or not is up to them, but we can't make this just for board members. So I think it is open. It's almost like a committee meeting.
Is that going to be in Facebook Live? Because I didn't know there was a Facebook Live, and I've been sharing my dad has been quarantined outside of the state in another country. So I have been forwarding whatever information that I can from the meeting over to him. But he's like, he can't log into the Cisco WebEx meeting. So I wanted to know if this, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
It does exist on Facebook Live, so he'll be able to watch it on repeat.
Okay. What's another way that we can inform? Like, can I print out flyers around the area to inform the public about this, this meeting or this hearing?
Yeah, I mean, look, this community board I would say, I mean, I'm new to it. I've only been here for 5 years, and Dr. Burke has been here even less time. One of the reasons why we also broadcast 5 years ago, we started broadcasting, and we started a relationship with BronxNet, which is the city's public access, or the Bronx's public access channel, because I wanted more people to participate. But this meeting has always taken place on the fourth Thursday of every month, with the exception of July and August, I would say for the last 30 years. This is not something that's new. I know that for a lot of people that are not familiar, that it is a new thing to them. But our meetings have always, and every community board across the city, and it's on our websites. It's on every city website. Like, if you want to know what's happening on Castle Hill in the Bronx, you can go to that community board meeting. You go to the city's website, nyc.gov, and type in Bronx Community Board 12, and everything will pop up on stuff that we're doing. The relationships we have with BronxNet, and the reason we put it on Facebook, and actually we're trying to get better also. We're trying to do other formats as well, because I think you're absolutely right. We're missing a segment of the population, especially, younger folks who are, more familiar with like Twitter or other formats. I mean, Facebook, I'm in my 40s, so it's probably a little more familiar to me. I know my kids don't necessarily use Facebook; they use Snapchat and other things like that. And we're trying to be all over the place. One of the things that we're trying to do as well is create a YouTube channel. Yeah, so we're trying to, so that, because a lot of this stuff, actually, we've been doing this now for 5 years, so that the data is starting to I don't know how to, I'm not a technical guy, but a lot of this stuff is starting to pile up, and the city doesn't want to park this information on our website because it takes up a lot of space. So that's why we're looking at now creating a YouTube channel to do this sort of thing, to park it there.
That's a really good idea. And I agree. How can you expand to meet everyone, not just the young and the middle age and the older, but you have to see what everyone is gravitating towards. And I agree, but I also wonder too, if you have like a press release. And I posed a question in the chat, like, I'm subscribed to the Riverdale Press. And what Miss Egypt was basically what she was stating about the subzoning and how Riverdale is a very strong community, I understood exactly what she was talking about because I read some of those things in the Riverdale Press. So I wanted to know too if we can start that. I don't know if we have some community board members that have kids or who just are passionate about writing. I don't know if they want to take that in. I don't know, but if there's any way that we can start off small, the YouTube idea is wonderful. But how else can we reach everybody? Because I know myself, sometimes I get way too many emails and it's overwhelming and it takes me time to read everything. Or I'm subscribed to too many podcasts and then I'm like, wait, you know what? I have to be better at my time management. So when I do get a newspaper or a magazine or something, I'm like, okay, I actually sit down and read it wherever it is that I am.
No, those are excellent points. Just imagine from my perspective. I work there every day. We're sharing community emails with everybody. So the East 222nd Street Community Block Association is sending us an email. We're sending that out. Then they're getting it as well, and then they're sending our email back out. So it gets a little convoluted. One of the things that I'm trying to work with the city on right now is actually putting a community calendar together so that not only can we park our information on it, like events that are happening, but also other community groups. Now, again, the city doesn't want to support that because they can't control. Because my idea would be create it in a like we would be a clearinghouse. Anybody could put anything on that community calendar for like District 12, for example, and like I guess the community board or me, George Torres or Ursula as staffers would look at whatever the submissions were and okay it before it actually went out to everybody so that people could see it. Again, we're having that conversation with the city. They're like technical things again that they want to do, what they don't want to do. If we put it in manually for mind builders, for example, if you were having a block party and you wanted to invite the community and you sent something to us, we could do it. I don't know why the city is reluctant right now to do it because that's kind of what SAPO does. The city has a street activity permit office, and they're responsible for permitting block parties and stuff like that. They put out a calendar of all the city events across the city. So all I'm saying is, yeah, like we want to have that on the community calendar, but we also want to have we want to consolidate these calendars and just have one community calendar so that you don't have to go to multiple websites or whatever to find out what's going on any given day in your neighborhood.
So let me just understand you visually for as you were explaining this. So what you're saying is to have a community, so like a Bronx community board calendar. So it would be like community board from number 1 to number 12.
No, I'm being a little selfish. Right now I'm only focused on community board 12.
Oh, that's fine. Start off small. See how big it
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want because again, there are many things, just to give you an example. There's a lot of construction that's happening right now with Con Edison and with DOT, DEP. So yeah, no, I'm talking about like street stuff. So when DEP comes in and is changing the sewer line, or when Con Edison is coming in and installing gas lines, like right now they're ripping up Bronxwood, I think like right off 218th Street. People have to move their vehicles. Now, DOT puts all of that information on their website. So they can say, oh, well, we have a website. If you go to the website, but for a lot of people, they don't know to do that. So that my community calendar would take all of this information in the aggregate and just channel it down and condense it into what's happening at community board to 12 today. You can get people who are having block parties. You can find out what's going on your street in terms of construction. You can have whatever the community board is doing and whatever community block association is doing.
Okay.
The resistance I'm getting from Do It, they're the ones that are responsible. They maintain our website for us, the Department of Information Technology and Telecommunications. They don't. I guess maybe it's too much of a Herculean task. So they're saying, oh, well, if you want to take everything that's on DOT's website and input it manually, we could do that. But again, it already exists. Why are we like reinventing the wheel? I'm just asking them to funnel that information from DOT right into our website and put it on our community calendar. And that way, all they have to know is I can go to Community Board 12's calendar and know what's going on in my community. But you're right. Like that can be expanded to all 51 community boards across the city. Like if the city's willing to do it for me, they can do it for everybody else. And maybe that's why they're reluctant to do it, because they don't want to do it for everybody else. But that's my idea.
Okay, I see what you mean, but I also understand the IT point of view. You know, it's like double the work. Do you guys currently have your own website? Because as you're explaining it, I'm visually seeing your idea as like, all right, when someone logs into the website page, there's like a little calendar, and then here's what's going on today, and it's just like brief, like, hey, the DOT is doing construction. Go to their site for more information, and here's the hyperlink. Click.
Yeah. Well, we could do it that way. I again, I don't know what it looks like. We're literally like having this conversation, but it's a conversation that we've been having. Again, I've been having this conversation for the last 2 years with BronxNet, for example. I think BronxNet, because they're the public access network for the city, they have a franchise. Like the city of New York has a franchise in every borough with a public service provider for TV. We pay, Community Board 12 pays a significant amount of money, which is why we're the only community board that does this. We pay for those services. We're paying BronxNet, and we also pay the team. You saw John there. We paid they're freelancers. They put the production together. So they're the ones who, when we were doing this in person, they're the ones who came in with cameras. They set up everything so that, they could capture us while we were talking, and they could we would live stream, and we would be on channel 67 for Optimum, and I think channel 33 for FiOS. And we did all that. And part of that was sort of building again, my theory was it would get more people, it would get more eyeballs to participate. It's because of COVID, we've actually flipped it. I mean, the BronxNet reached out to us. Now they're extending those services because to all the other community boards, they're not charging us now because all they have to do is log in. Before, they were charging us because they literally had to send somebody to our office to bring some sort of switch with them. But again, I all of this was done so that we could get more people to participate in the community board, because all community boards are limited. You're limited by the size of the space that you have this meeting. But if you're broadcasting, and if people come to how do you say, when they become accustomed to it, every fourth Thursday of the month, I'm going to watch my community board on channel 67 or channel 33. You get more people, and it's through word of mouth. So like, you're participating now. When we send, I don't know if are you on our mail list? Are you on our email list? Okay.
Yes, Ursula's awesome.
Yeah. So all right. So you got the email, and that's, like that. Basically, for me, I'm building this through word of mouth. I know people say that you can advertise these things for free in the newspaper. Listen, no, I've not seen it. I mean, I don't know what other community boards do. I know what Bronx community boards do, and I have a fair idea of what community boards and all over the city have been doing. But this is not a new thing. Like outreach and connecting people. I like to start at home. This is the first night that we actually had quorum. So, it's not even a matter of reaching out to the 150,000 people who live in Community Board 12. It's actually reaching out to the 50 people who are board members, who are appointed by the elected officials, by the council person, and by the borough president to represent the community. Because guess what? Those 50 members, like Dr. Burke, have to reach out to the community. I expect them that when we put this together, when Dr. Berg is talking to his neighbor, oh, hey, we're having a meeting on Thursday. I do that for all my friends. I'm like, hey, you can watch me on TV. You don't have to, or you can tune into Cisco. So, and they don't even live in the district. I tell my parents are watching on, they watch, oh, I saw you on TV, son, and blah, 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 blah. So, I do that because for me, that's where we start at home.
Yeah.
You get the people involved, you get them to reach out. But again, I'm talking too much now, but basically we've been trying to do that.
Let me take it even one step further. I'm from the state of Georgia, as you can probably tell. I do not sound like a native New Yorker. My people at home know that they can watch it on Facebook Live, because my homeboys will comment, or my sister will show it to my mother. So, it's just like it's all over. And to George's point, my frat brother's mom. I remember one day, my frat brother calls me last week. He's like, dog, I heard, my mom saw you on TV. And I have a thing with his mom, because I guess she's the closest thing to my mom here. He was like, bruh, she wouldn't let me turn the TV because she was watching it. You know what I mean? Or the bros in Brooklyn are telling me about, the way our fraternity structure works is that our corridor rep was telling the bros that I'm running for political office, which I'm not, but that's the word. You know what I mean? So it's far reaching. And he lives in, I want to say, in Community Board 4, so in the Bronx. And so I told that to say that, I mean, this is fantastic. I think, we're looking for ways to be more dynamic. You know what I mean? So if I could say that, that's what we're looking at.
Hey guys, this is Davin. How's everybody doing?
What's up, man?
I think one of the coolest things about this platform is the ability to, give people that wouldn't normally comment or say anything, like they feel a little more enabled to join the conversation.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like even seeing how colleges and schools, they're going more towards platforms like this as well. Like younger people, they're going to be accustomed to platforms like this, and it'll be an easier, more seamless transition to get them involved in things like this because they're now accustomed to the platform. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right, and I think you raised the issue in the chat that like you're absolutely right. Listen, this doesn't end for us. Even when we go back to in-person meetings, this is such an easy thing for us to do. Even when we're in person, we're still going to keep this going on. So if people want to participate this way, because I think Dr. Burke spoke to the issue, and you just raised it again. The chat function is fantastic. You can ask a million questions. We can save it and we can always get back to you with answers, or we could send those questions directly to the agency.
No, it's absolutely amazing. It is absolutely
Because
amazing.
normally during the board meeting, the way it normally works is that it's really only for board members to ask questions versus the chat. Anybody can ask questions, and that's what I like about it. You know what I mean? Is that that way the community does have a voice. You know what I mean?
We feel more united too. You know what I mean? Like I'm seeing people in my community that share the same sentiments, that actually, because before you kind of feel like you're the only person on your block, or you're the only person in the community that really cares about the other people in the community and the community in itself. But now you're seeing, wow, there are like minds out there that actually care about where we live, and
Listen,
it's really amazing.
Listen, it is, and that's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is not to be like Riverdale. I mean, Riverdale is very. I don't want to say that they're united. Riverdale's community board, I could say with, I think every other person on that board is an attorney. So, when something goes down, they're private citizens, even though they're appointed to the community board. Oh, well, we're going to sue you if you do this. Nobody in Community Board 12 is an attorney. None of my board members are attorneys. So and that's one of the things that I think is problematic, and that we've tried to we've had the conversations with the borough president's office about appointing better people, younger people, people like yourselves. Again, I don't know if you're younger or not, but just those who are more community minded, who are willing to put in the time and effort. Again, Dr. Burke always talks about accountability. Tonight we have 47 board members. We lost 4, so we have 43 board members now as of today, and only
2.
Oh, 42. Okay.
Because you forgot about the one who.
No, I purposely didn't include her, but yes, you're right. So it would be 42. We only had 24 people show up who are board members. So that means, a little less than half, like 47 or 48% were missing from this meeting.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's odd. But
No, it's not odd. It's just that, again, people don't give a damn, and that's the part of the problem. And so, unlike you guys, see, I need people like you on the board. You know what I mean? So, as our district manager says, part of the board appointment process is due to your councilman. So, you need to go and rake your councilman, whoever he or she is, and be like, "Look, I need to get on this board." You know what I mean? Because the councilman, depending on who your councilman is, is part of the solution or part of the problem. You know what I mean? One of them I know for a fact is part of the solution. The other one is part of the problem. So, because, you can't be appointing people, who do not think critically, who do not think strategically, and I forgot to mention that tonight, who don't think critically, who don't think strategically, or you're doing political favors for. You know what I mean? Because half the board, think about it, half the people, elections turn on who shows up and who does, and it shouldn't even be like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But how do I
The thing
find out?
is that there's no, right now, that's why I'm trying to hold people accountable. So if there was no excused absence, okay, that's an excused absence against you. You know?
Go ahead, Ariana. You had a question?
Yes. So great points, Dr. Burke. You're right. But to follow up on what you said, how do I find out who is my councilman? Because the reason how I even got any information about this board, like the reason why I walked through the doors, is because I had an issue with the park. And it all started with Seton Falls Park. And I'm very thankful because after that, I've been interested, more intrigued, more involved in what's going on. Because I was also a new, I guess, I'm a new member of this area. I came from Bronx Community Board 11, Morris Park area, and they did things a little more old school.
Yes, they do.
Yes. And
Yeah.
there were some issues that were going on over there with shelters and developments. But you know what? They were strong. They had people in there that they were like, they were old, 80 years old with the autism. Were at those meetings and they were like, not no, the hell no. And I was like, wow, like I didn't know about this. So I started involving myself a little more about Bronx 12, but I didn't know how to go about it. Like, who do I talk to? I went to speak with somebody about certain concerns, but then after that, I was like, oh, okay. So I'm subscribed now to their email listing. Great. But if I had other major concerns, who would I then talk to? I don't know.
Well, you
Our
have.
councilman is king. We know that. She said Seton Falls Park. As soon as she said that.
Yeah. I would.
I don't know who this person is. So I was like, okay, am I not asking the right question? Like, should I be reaching out to Ursula? Like,
Yeah.
who do I reach out to? And then she can then appoint me to the right person, I'm guessing. I guess the councilman or woman.
Well, no. Listen. So if you have, and I hate to, if you have city-related issues, you can always come to the community board. So whether you reach out to Ursula or myself, send us an email, whatever the issue. You said you had an issue with Seton Falls Park. Wait a minute. Are you the same?
She's been at the meetings. She's been at the meetings.
Is this the one with we spoke about capital issues for the park, right?
I don't think so. I'm not Renee Patterson, so no.
No, I know you're not Renee.
He knows Renee.
No, but
we all know Renee.
I know. No, I got an email from somebody who was complaining about the walking paths, about the homeless people in there, and about the the large groups of people who were smoking cigarettes or maybe weed and stuff like that. I know I sent it to Matt Dorian. I don't know if you were I have to look at my email again, but I was just wondering if you were the same person.
No, but I reached out to Matt in regards to other things about the maintenance of the park. But
Okay.
after receiving after that, and I have been present to those meetings after receiving all the emails from Ursula, I was like, oh, okay, I'm being informed about other things that's going on in the community. But if I had a question, after what you guys were talking about now about the elections and stuff, I'm like, wait, they're electing certain individuals, or at least certain people, councilmen are elected to be in this position in this platform. So that means that I should be talking to them about some of my concerns or my ideas, but I don't know who I would be talking to.
You can send me an email. I have no problem connecting you to the right people. I'll give you a list. If you go to the city actually does have a website, by the way.
Okay.
If you go to maybe I could put it in the chat real quick. Hold on. I have to
I'm
Google
not
it
big on
myself.
politics, but I try to do my research before. I like to be informed. So if I
Absolutely.
I'm like, okay.
Absolutely. So here, let me put this in the chat. Copy. if you go to this website, hold on, let me put this to everyone. If you go to that website, you type in your address, it'll tell you your state, federal, and local elected officials.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know.
Yeah, if you and also it'll give you other useful help, like it'll give you Acris, it'll give you Oasis, it'll give you DOB's website, Department of Finance, like property taxes. It'll even give you digital tax maps on Department of Finance's website. It'll give you a whole bunch of stuff. It should even give you your information. Like a lot of that stuff is aggregated from the city's website. And you can
Oh,
type
okay.
in
Thank you.
and you can type in anybody's address. So, so literally what happens is if I get a complaint about a particular house, like somebody's not mowing the lawn or whatever, I'll type in the address that I'm given. I'm given a name. I try to look for a phone number, and then I'll try to contact the homeowner and be like, "Oh, hey, before we make a complaint with the city, can you cut your grass because we're getting complaints about overgrown weeds, for example."
Oh, okay, cool. That's pretty cool. I like this. Thank you.